That was terrible.
That was so good.
We have to stick with it. I mean, that's basically where we're at. We're
only
rolling
one cut.
We're rolling on all three channels here, right? Firing it up on all.
We got Musto
firing
rolling,
it up
you
on all
rolling, me
cylinders.
Three
Okay.
cylinders.
Well, welcome everybody to Game Stuff. Another week here in the Game Stuff studios.
Yeah, we've been going for a while now.
Episode 4.
Can't really fit in the
I don't know a lot of
studios.
studios that have beds in them.
This is
Studio apartment, all right?
yeah, it's multifaceted. This is your host here, Big B Snyder.
Sean Crick. That's my co-host.
I got the co-host
Brad Snyder.
over here, Sean
Brad
Ripper
Snyder,
Crick.
co-host.
And today we're joined by Chris Mustard.
Hey.
I mean,
I haven't heard that since elementary school, middle school, high school, and college. That's refreshing.
No, today this is a special occasion for us. Dude, put the mic down. Don't hold it, dude. It's a shotgun mic. You don't need to hold it.
Yeah, but the problem is I'm just...
No, you don't. I mean, you don't need to be
not a
that close. I
correspondent.
mean,
All right, is this close enough?
yeah. So today we have a test guest. Our first guest
It
on the
rhymes really well.
podcast.
Yeah, I actually like that a lot.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
First guest, best guest.
Now, tell us a little bit about yourself, test guest.
Well, I have a name. Chris Musto is what I'm known by. Mustard, to those of you who are running the show.
Who may have been listening to the podcast for the first 2 minutes already.
There you go. So I'm an event manager over at Riot Games. Been a hardcore nerd my whole life, and closet up until I got a job in the games industry. It's nice.
So you were closeted?
I was a closet nerd. I was a closet nerd for a while.
How does it feel to be free of those shackles?
What did everyone say when you came out?
Super supportive, actually. It was a warm reception across the board, especially at Riot, a place that kind of is all about letting your nerd flag fly. And I was
I hear you guys got a few nerds over there.
A couple, yeah. I think that's a kind of a core tenet of
mostly just Musto.
Yeah.
mostly, yeah. I can carry the torch for many. But yeah, you're talking to someone, like I said 2 seconds ago, I was riffing on how much I love the Panasonic 3DO, so that pretty much sums up my gaming life.
Yeah, that's like almost too nerdy.
Did any of the kids out there know what a Panasonic 3DO is? What the fuck is Panasonic?
Yeah, what is Panasonic? Are they even around anymore?
They're probably
make
like
fridges.
anyone that makes cell phones probably now, and that's pretty much it.
I would like to think they're still making batteries.
Yeah, something like that. They got to do something. I feel like as a
How
tech
do you beat
company,
Energizer though?
you
Why do you
don't.
even go in that market?
You don't. They don't have nearly a cool enough animal to be a part of their.
I don't even think they have an animal.
They have zero animals.
I'm trying to think now. Do I have a single Panasonic thing even at all
A TV
in this
usually.
apartment?
I feel like I had a TV once.
Yeah, my last TV was a Panasonic.
Was it?
It's in my room.
Oh shit!
I could watch it right now.
The funny thing was, like, I had to look up who actually made the 3DO because I just knew it as a 3DO,
Yeah.
and I'm like, holy shit! Oh, Panasonic.
Well,
made it.
I never knew they
I always
made
get
it,
that
yeah.
mixed up with. I had a Philips CDI. Which was the
Philips.
they always had those three things. You
Oh,
know?
absolutely,
like,
yeah.
You had to have like three
T-
letters or a
trifecta.
number or something in there,
And there had to be a D in it.
Yeah, and I had that, and what was famous about that system is it's the system that had those really shitty, like notoriously the worst Nintendo games ever. Like I don't think Nintendo made them, but they have
the
Zelda,
Zelda game and everything.
The Zelda game.
Oh wow,
Wand
that
of
was
Gamelon.
the famous one,
I
the
had
most
all-
meme-worthy Zelda game
I
of all.
had these games growing
Yeah.
up. I had Zelda, Wand of Gamelon, Link. It was like the other one was like Link's Adventure or something weird, and it was like 2D side scrolling.
My boy.
What?
If you have time, look up Wand of
And then I
Gamelon
also
memes.
I had the weirdest one, Mario Hotel. Did you ever
Mario
see that
Hotel?
one? Mario Hotel is a 2D game with Mario where it's like basically you're like it's a puzzle game where there's levels of the hotel and you're trying to get to like elevators to like get up to the next level and get to the top. I think.
Interesting.
But you had to get like so
a
many
Donkey
coins
Kong
first.
layout kind of deal, or
Kind of, and like they just had like those, you know, like the yellow caterpillars from like Super Mario World, like the ones that had like multiple. There were like those things walking around. You had to like get
Did you
past
kill
them.
him?
I can't remember.
Was there any action?
Those
I think
bonus
you killed
levels in
them
Mario
somehow.
3 where you had the one POW thing and you had to like get coins and stuff throughout
Turn
the
coins
levels
into
and then
platforms
yeah,
or bag.
yeah,
No,
exactly.
It was very different. In fact, like we should look at a video of it.
Sounds
at
like
some
maybe
point
different
because
in a
Mario
bad way.
Hotel.
Because, you know
I'm
what?
pretty sure you made this up.
We can
Yeah.
no, I can show you right now.
No, that's
We
a
can look
Japanese
at
love hotel, actually.
Mario Hotel
what
right
are-
now.
what are
the
the odds
podcast
that-
listeners are gonna love this.
I was gonna say, what are the odds that's actually called Mario Hotel? It's called
It's
Hotel
called-
Mario. Damn, I should have been. I should have
Yeah,
been.
fuck.
That's why we have Musto. I thought Phillips had 2 L's. Am I crazy?
Yeah, so here's the Phillips.
They changed it in
so it had an intro. I want to find gameplay of
the
hotel. Okay,
business.
maybe I need to search for the correct name.
So I've actually seen this artwork.
Oh my god!
Is this from the game?
Well, did the same artist do every game for
Yeah.
the
The
CDI?
CDI, I
Because
think
feel
so.
like Wanda
I think
Gallant
the
has
same-
exact
I thought that
same
artwork was a
graphics.
joke. I've seen it like out of context, and
Yeah,
I thought it was someone
that
drawing
was
shitty
the
art.
CDI's claim to fame was their really shitty art.
Okay, I'm actually just gonna put a freeze.
Sorry to
on
all the
this,
CDI
and I'm just
artists
gonna-
who
Yeah,
might be
no
out there
offense to
listening.
whoever drew that.
Yeah, I know they're all
Faithful
listening.
rendition
They're
of
all
Mario.
listening.
It was
They're all
groundbreaking
listening
graphics.
right now. Yeah. So, anyways, well, welcome, Musto. We're
Thank
really
you.
excited to have you,
Welcome.
dude.
Thanks for
I
having
think
me
when
on.
we were talking about like potential guests, like. I think you were actually oddly enough #1 on my idea list in my
It's
head
not
before I
odd at
even
all.
talked to Sean.
Okay, well, I
He was
was saying,
dream-
that's
he
just
was
because
dreaming
I'm the
about
lowest
it.
hanging fruit. I live right up the road.
You know,
It's
a nice-
easy
a nice
commute.
juicy pear.
You know
Yeah.
who's the easiest guy to just get over here?
Just easiest in general, I
Who
think.
is the lowest hanging
Who's
fruit
the
we could
easiest
find?
guy?
He's got decent games IQ and is close by, won't charge us anything.
You're a games genius.
genius.
Yeah.
I'm old, so that works.
Basically, for any of you who are new to the podcast, we are a podcast where we talk about games and
Stuff.
stuff.
Oh wow. Laser specific, guys.
Musto gets it.
But well, yeah. So we're starting up a podcast, from people who make games to talk about games, because
Yeah.
I think a lot of the podcasts that are out there are games journalists or people who work at websites, and like they have really awesome insight into the game world in a different way than we might, because we make games every day for a living. So
We know the grind.
Saturday and Sunday, too.
yeah, Saturday and Sunday. So, anyways, let's get into it for the week.
Oh,
Some new
yeah.
games were announced.
They were?
Ooh.
Yeah, announced.
Announced?
Announced.
All right. So what were they?
So a couple things. One of them's kind of not really a new game, but it's like a new version of that game, which is kind of a big deal.
Okay.
So we'll talk about that too. The first thing that was announced was a game called Rap Rabbit from the creator of Guitaru Man and Parappa the Rapper. They're unveiled a new project. They showed like a little teaser trailer this week. I don't know if you guys saw it or not. It was just
I
like
didn't.
this rabbit like sitting on a roof and like there's some music. A little bit.
Okay.
They didn't really show any
I'm in.
Yeah, they didn't really show any gameplay, but I mean the art looks cool. And dude, I loved Guitaru Man. Like that game was so awesome.
Yeah.
I was a
Did you
Parappa fan.
Oh,
myself.
really?
Oh yeah.
I couldn't never
See,
get
I
into
never played. Yeah, I never played
It's all
Parappa.
in your mind.
I couldn't get into Parappa.
It sounds cool.
I even
Great
tried to
game.
play the new demo that came out on PS4, and I don't know if there's something with like the input lag or something. I can never play that game well. Like it's like I'm
Really?
missing the button hits for some
Is
reason.
there a latency issue
I
in
think
your
there's a
PS1 game?
latency issue. I don't know.
I think it's an audio guy issue.
Yeah,
Because
it
he has
might-
this issue with every game that has
Well,
sound.
when the Parappa esport hits, they'll have to fix that for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
you're past your
thinking- I
prime
think so.
anyway for esports.
It's true. Like, I'm just all downhill.
This is
from
your
here.
last year.
Oh my god! I look at the screen and I only react like 5 minutes after something happens.
Yeah.
I think my first interaction with Parappa was from back in the PS1 days. You used to get those
Demo discs.
Demo discs.
Yes,
with
same
like
here.
30 games on
and
it.
it was always the Onion Man.
And it was always
rap
yeah,
thing.
it was always kick punches all on your mind,
Yeah.
and like those are like that's the main thing I remember from that game. And there are such good times of fighting over the controller with friends and
Dude.
just hating on like, yo, it's my turn to play with the Onion guy.
Yeah. Did you ever play Jammer Lammy?
That is the sequel.
Yeah.
and I know I did not play that
So
one.
cool.
But
I like that game better too.
Yeah.
But,
So that is in the same series.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it's-
yeah. It's kind of.
It was
like, I
kind
don't-
of so. Parappa was obviously rap based.
Yeah.
Jammalami was more like alt rocky or
Yeah,
like kind of
exactly.
rockish,
Okay.
if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Jam.
What is an
Jammer
Sorry.
Lammy.
Oh, that's
I kind
what
of
it
remember
is.
that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
that
more of a
intro.
scat. It's
Okay,
a
more of
play on
yeah,
scat.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm excited about
I never
that.
played guitar though. What was that one?
It was so good.
It was Basically,
I played it on PSP, and you did
Yeah,
too, right?
we played it on PSP for the first time because at that time to like buy it on PlayStation 2, the game cost like $100.
Yeah, it was one of those
'Cause
games
it was
that
super rare.
was out of stock everywhere, and so you had to buy it on eBay.
Yeah, and they did a version on PSP, and it was just awesome.
But
like,
the whole
all the music was.
There's
really
an actual
cool.
story like threading through these 6 or 7 different songs that you play. It wasn't
It was
that
more
many.
than that. It was more than that. It
They
was
were
like
all
closer
really
to
solid
10.
though.
Yeah.
But,
Interesting.
But there was a story of you like chasing this girl and trying to save her from Guitaru Man.
No, you are
And
the
then you
Guitar
become
Man.
a
So
Guitar
Guitar
Man.
Man is
Yeah.
the antagonist.
No,
I think-
no, you are the Guitar Man. You are the Guitar
The
Man.
bad guy wasn't Guitaru Man?
I don't think so.
I thought he was, and you were
we can
becoming
all
a
be the
Guitaru
Guitar
Man.
Man.
we can. We can all be
There's a
Guitar
little
Man.
Guitaru in all of us.
We are all Guitar Man.
Okay, so the next thing that was announced this week, Vanquish is getting a PC port. Now, Sean, you and I played this game.
Yeah.
Did you play this game, Musto?
I have not, but it
didn't
looked
beat it.
like I said, it was that mix of Gears of War Bulletstorm kind of feel to
Yeah,
it, and it just looked like a
totally,
visual
but, like,
bonanza for me to
yeah,
keep up with.
it
So
is a visual- it is a
never
visual-
found my way to it.
Visual bonanza is quite an interesting way to describe it.
I think it's,
but
it did Bulletstorm better than Bulletstorm.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, it
because
was
the
before
traversal.
The dash
Bulletstorm.
mechanic
It was
looks.
before Bulletstorm.
Well, yeah, but
Clown
I mean, they
Fiesta,
just
man.
The dash is nuts
felt
because
so
you,
much
you
better.
basically slide until you hit something that will stop you from sliding.
Really?
So you can just slide across
You'll
the entire
slide
map.
infinitely until like you
I
go
think
off the
so.
map.
and there was
or-
slow mo, right?
Okay.
I can't
There was
remember.
some way to kind of slow down time as you're sliding, which just made it feel like you were a fucking god.
It was super awesome. It was like super action packed. It kind of just came out at a weird time. I feel like it just kind of got overlooked.
Yeah,
Well,
was,
and
it,
it's
was this a
platinum.
big title? Because I feel like it really slipped under the radar for me as like a must.
It was under the radar.
Yeah,
I
it's,
think. Like,
I think they just don't get a huge marketing push. Like they're a studio that puts out solid games, but they also put out some stinkers.
Yeah.
But they never get the huge like, all right, this is our one game for the season that we're really putting our money behind. They put out Metal Gear Solid Revengeance.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
They put out what else? Like Bayonetta, is them,
Bayonetta.
but that's pretty big
Well,
because
they
it was
did-
exclusive.
they did that Wii game that like looked really cool, but then turned out to not be that cool. Like Mad World.
Mad World, the black and white one.
Yeah.
yeah.
They're an interesting developer because they literally will go from like a 9 out of 10 game to like a 4 out of 10 game.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
this
they're very
back
hot
and
and
forth,
cold.
back and forth. But I think it's really because they do a lot of licensed work to keep the lights on. I think,
Yeah.
at that studio, which you have to do sometimes when you're making games. You know, like
course.
you don't always get the opportunity to just make the game you want to make.
Right.
Sometimes you have to make the game you have to make.
Not
Yeah.
everything is Child of Light.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
How does that- yeah, okay, yeah.
Child of Light was like a passion project
That's
that
true.
Ubisoft greenlit based
That
on,
is true.
but it would have never
But
gotten
I think
made.
that was kind of because it was the director of Far Cry 3.
Yeah, well,
and he
you
said,
have to earn your street cred.
I feel
yeah.
like he probably went to them and said, "If I can't do this, I'm leaving."
Yeah.
So they let it. They were just like, "Here's
Not
a bunch of
everyone
money."
has
All right,
that luxury.
Here's 5 people. Just make a game.
Yeah.
You know. Anyways, so it's actually coming out in just a couple weeks on the 25th.
That's
of
so
May,
random.
which is really cool. And it's going to support 4K resolutions. It's going to have a bunch of graphic options.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
4K.
I don't know. I might, depending on how much it is, I might pick it up. on
You know
PC.
you're buying it.
I don't know.
You're
We'll see.
obviously buying
still
it.
I
waiting
do.
for
I did really
5K.
like the game. I don't think I ever finished it, but it was really fun to play.
I didn't. It wasn't that long either. It was kind of like a 8 to 10 hour game.
Yeah,
It-
and
what's-
it's like
what-
it's
is
a
this
game
a
that's
quick-
based around like kind of like Devil May Cry. You get like scores. It's
Yep.
very much like a perform and do better, like Bayonetta too. It's just
Gotcha.
kind of like kick
really
ass
hard.
and do
Yeah,
really
yeah.
cool shit, and you like get a high
Keep going.
score.
It's like perform or die.
Or
Yeah.
like the lesser acclaimed Dante's Inferno, which is still an
Still
awesome
good.
game.
Still
I love
good.
that game.
That is,
Yeah.
that was a weird game, but it was cool. So another thing kind of announced this week, we're getting a tease from the Super Meat Boy Binding of Isaac developer. He's
Yeah.
teasing a new project.
He didn't say much about it.
It says it's coming close to announcing it. I think what was interesting is that I think he said something about it being like the biggest game he's made so far.
Really?
Let's see.
Well,
yeah,
his
what's this
games
guy's name?
aren't-
His name is Edmund McMillan, right?
Yeah.
Or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, he...
Oh yeah, so here's what he says. He says it's hard, it's weird. Oh, big fucking surprise.
It's personal, again.
big
Surprise.
fucking
Surprise, yeah.
It has amazing controls.
Yeah, I'll believe it when I see
Nah,
it.
now he's kind of just talking a
So
little bit
it's
too
an-
much. It's a totally new, unannounced IP and easily one of the largest games I've ever
Oh,
made,
man.
level-wise.
Okay.
That's actually kind of big because Super Meat Boy has, I think, 1 trillion levels.
Yeah.
I
And then
didn't-
Binding of Isaac has unlimited levels because
I
it's
didn't even-
procedural. So I'm
That's
looking
crazy.
forward to
How do
this.
you? Yeah, how do you go above unlimited levels?
He found a way.
Unlimited levels and unlimited expansive levels. It'll just keep... It's a universe that
Yeah.
keeps expanding.
It's
So,
just one giant level.
I
but
would
it's
like to be
unlimited.
excited about this. Here's the thing. I tried to play a little bit of Super Meat Boy. It wasn't really for me. I tried to play Binding of Isaac, and Binding of Isaac is just gross
It's
to me.
so gross.
Like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
want to play it, but first of all, the sound is so annoying in that game. Like, everything is so repetitive and so harsh sounding.
Yeah.
So, like, it's just like over and over again, you hear these same sound effects that are just not really, like, fun to listen to. Yeah. And then the art is just, like, shit turds and, like, gross things, and it's like...
Did he just say shit turds?
Yeah.
Take me through shit turds
Yeah,
a little
let's-
bit.
Yeah,
Well,
break
how's
that
that
one
different
down.
from an
Well, I mean, I
actual
just like
shit
from
or
what
a
I
turd?
remember, it's just like everything is shit. Just like
Oh.
everything is shit, and like body
course.
parts and like flesh and
It's
feces
basically
and,
aborted fetuses
Yep.
Yeah.
rotting in their own shit in
Yep.
a basement.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
it's
you're
like
supposed to just play that for like 50 hours.
It's like what
people
Dante's
love
Inferno
it.
wanted to
People
be, but
absolutely
couldn't get the
Dante's
green light
Inferno
on.
never got there.
People are crazy about
Too
that
many
game.
nipples.
Too many nipples.
People paid $40 for that game on Switch.
Well, so
Yeah.
I
How
have
crazy
a,
is that?
I have a love-hate relationship with roguelikes in general. Just like they don't capture my interest for super long, and I'm all in on them. I can't remember what was the Wasteland one, the 8-bit top-down shooter. There was a roguelike. I can't remember what it's called.
8-bit top-down shooter.
Yeah, I'm sure your listeners are
Wasteland?
losing their
Don't
mind.
Starve?
No. It was a top-down shooter
said
roguelike,
shooter.
but it was an 8-bit shooter. I can't remember the name
How
of
long
it.
ago did it come out?
God, probably.
Gungeon?
No, Enter the Gungeon is another one I was going to talk
That's like
about.
not
but
8-bit either. That's like
Yeah.
16-bit.
Yeah, ish.
Or, like,
I
more
can't remember the
bits.
name of it, but it'll come to me after the broadcast,
Sounds
of course,
good.
when it's useless.
We'll
but
come back to you on that one.
it's yeah, like roguelikes in general are just tough for me. They're like they're very they have like an unsatisfying gratification loop for me.
Yeah,
at times, especially
love
after
them.
like 40
I
hours.
absolutely
Of,
love
or
I
them.
totally
like 20
get that.
hours
I
game.
usually play a couple times and I'm like, I've kind of seen
all this game has to
everything.
offer. Right.
Like, there's
I've-
another
I've
random
already
item
seen
somewhere.
everything.
Right,
There's another
right.
random level somewhere, but doesn't really matter. But I will say Rogue Legacy broke that for me.
Really, I never
Once-
played that one.
That was a good one.
I played that for like 5 hours and hated it. And then
Yeah.
after that mark where I kind of started leveling up my character and understanding it, it just got so much better and I was addicted.
I'm like
Yeah.
a classic roguelike fan though. Like I fucking am still obsessed with that game Dragon Crystal, which came
Yeah,
out on Game Gear.
Dragon Crystal.
Oh, God, you should see it.
That was
game.
one of the like original
horrible.
roguelike games back in the day.
Wow.
It's an awesome game. I'm more of a fan of that. I do like it when they have progression and stuff like that. Rogue Legacy was okay. The problem is the game didn't feel good to play. Like
Yeah,
the jumps
at
and the
first.
movement and just don't feel good.
Yeah.
I think even when you get more powers, it just still feels a little rugged. And
After-
like
it takes a
I
while,
love
but it
the
does
upgrades,
get better.
But
Like that, it does start to feel better once you fully upgrade your character.
yeah.
I don't know. What was the There's Darkest Dungeon. I love Darkest Dungeon,
Oh,
which is
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
a
yeah.
roguelike, but it's an
Dungeon,
RPG.
Darkest Dungeon is awesome, but it is too punishing.
I think it is pretty punishing. I think the missing link for me with roguelikes and like the shift for Darkest Dungeon is like that attachment to characters is really there in Darkest Dungeon, and I really feel bad when I lose a guy.
Yeah.
And but the party persists. In a roguelike, it's just game over. You start from the beginning. You're
Yeah,
like, fuck,
yeah.
man, I just did
You lose
all of this
everything you
already.
did.
yeah.
And if it feels random, it just feels bad.
Yeah, you're like, all right, it's a
you
new
weren't set up.
experience. But
Darkest
yeah, it's just
Dungeon is
that-
also just really polished in almost every way.
Yeah.
The music in that game is really cool.
narrator's
The
freaking
art
awesome.
The art is great. The narrator's cool, and the sound effects are actually really awesome.
Yeah.
They're super satisfying and really interesting.
Yeah.
I just think like the aesthetic of that game really comes together in like a special way. It's
Yep.
just it's so hard. It like I don't know. Like it got to a point where I was just like. I'm not exactly having fun playing this anymore.
Yeah.
You know, so
As
I
they
just
all
kind of,
do.
but I had a good time with it. I played
Yeah.
it for probably like 10, 15 hours and just loved it.
And it's
Maybe I'll
interesting.
come back to it.
What you said about the aesthetic is really interesting because I think Binding of Isaac does have a really strong aesthetic,
But it's just-
gross.
It's just a disgusting
But,
aesthetic.
That strong
it's
aesthetic is not what I
polished. I don't
want.
think it looks like. I don't think it's a polished aesthetic. It's a rough
is,
around the
though.
edges aesthetic.
It has a
I don't
it has a
know.
very
If you listen to that game,
It's
that is
very
not
intentional.
that is not
A very
a
intentional
polished
aesthetic.
sound. Like that's like one guy made the game and he did the sound design and he's not a sound designer. That's what that is.
interesting. That's an interesting.
You'll find
thought.
a recurring theme here. with
The
Brad.
sound. so to be clear, on my stance on games, music and sound are two of the most important things that draw me into a game.
for sure.
And I totally
Thank
get
you.
that
You're
view on it.
totally correct.
There's a little thing called job security for Brad here, but it's true. Like that, like the sound and immersion comes from. Immersion comes from the sound and the actual music. For me, like Final Fantasy games, for example, I would never play a Final Fantasy game if I was like the music set. Like Final Fantasy 7, the music sets the tone for that game 9 times out of 10.
Oh yeah.
And that is a perfect example. I actually. Dun, 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 dun. Little late, guys, but all right, we got it.
Yeah, we got it.
Okay, so that's it for the announcements this week. We kind of skipped over something that I wanted to talk about because we got a guest, and you know maybe he's playing some things we're not.
Yeah, he's
Jamming
kind
you
of
guys
fucking
up.
up the whole
Jamming
Jamming
show.
you guys
yeah.
up a little bit. Hey, we got an actual live.
Oh no.
Brad's reporting live from the front lines of cat vomit. Brad, take us through what just happened there.
Guy
wow,
Whiskers.
that is a wet.
Just get it off.
Okay.
Oh, that was the worst possible way.
Too late. It's all over the bed. We're gonna have to edit this out.
Oh, all right.
Do you want to get him out of the room?
Just leave everything rolling. We'll cut this out.
threw up over here.
I think this is gold.
He's so
Oh my god. Ah, fuck.
All right.
And we're
Okay, and we are back.
Here we are.
Crisis averted.
So, just a natural disaster.
Life happens.
And don't worry, everything's good. We all made it through.
Musto was the real hero. Thanks again, Musto.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, all in a day's
That was
work, gentlemen.
impressive.
Yeah.
Happy
Yeah.
to be a part of it.
Are you?
Well, happy to mandatorily be a part of it.
Cats, Can't
Can't-
live with
you
them,
know.
can't live without them.
No.
And they're not worth any XP if you kill them, so it's not worth it.
That's true. Less than rats somehow.
Oh, man. All right. Well, Musto, what are you playing, dude?
Oh, what am I playing? Right now, I'm pretty. I'm heavy into League of Legends. I mean, shameless
What?
plug, but we have an internal tournament going on at our company, so it's kind of.
Is that why you're playing so much right now, Sean?
No, I just play a lot.
He's not. Yeah, he's just a shameless promoter of our products. No, I mean, besides League, I've been dabbling a lot in the PlayStation Store. So I went back to Salt and Sanctuary, which is a game that I love. I really love that. I love the Metroidvania feel, and
Yeah.
I know Sean has some plight against the actual art styling of it. It's a
Oh,
little
God.
dark and gray, but
Since you can't see the enemies. Yeah.
Yeah.
it is. It does, like, the visuals lend an aesthetic, but they kind of over-index there, and it kind of hinders the gameplay at times for sure. But
It just came out on Vita not too long ago.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Kind of, I don't know. I mean, we played it a little bit on PS4, and it's pretty fun.
yeah,
I started playing it again on Vita, and I'm very torn on that game because it is fun.
yeah.
But I just don't think it feels as good as a Dark Souls or any of the other, like, modern
Well, once
roguelikes
again,
that have
I
come out.
it's
think,
a
how many
two-
people made that game?
Yeah, and it's
Sure.
a 2D side scroller, so I don't think it's quite going to capture that AAA feel of Dark Souls, which, I mean, they have, like Brad said, it's probably a massive team that's, like,
I mean, I guess it's not like the AAA feel or anything, or like the complex combat. I think it's just in Dark Souls, I felt like I could always make progress, and I felt like I knew the world really well. So if I was kind of butting up against some crazy monster or something and dying a lot, I could go a different way, or I
Yeah.
could try something new. In this game, I don't feel like I ever get to the point where I know the world really well.
Yeah.
And it feels like I'm just going down the same path over and over
Yep.
again, and that gets kind of old.
It does have a lot of repetitive scenery, and I think, like, it does a good job of getting that Castlevania feel of it's a cohesive world that you're in, and, like, the environments change subtly depending on where you are, but they're a little too subtle in these cases, and you see, like, you get a feel for recycled ambiance,
Yeah,
every so
yeah.
often, just because the color, like, I feel like they have a color palette of, like, 3 grays and 3 reds for different
Slightly
lighting.
green gray.
Yeah, exactly.
Slightly
Slightly
yellow
grayer
gray.
gray, more gray, and then less gray. But yeah, so Salt and Sanctuary's been one. I actually jumped back in and took the heroin and
Ooh.
went back into WoW for a few here. But
So you're a WoW guy.
so I was.
Oh, wow.
So WoW is one of those. I'm not a WoW guy.
I don't know. It
have
sounds like
friends-
you're
definitely a WoW guy.
That's what a WoW guy would
How
say.
late were we
Is
at
he
work?
going-
Hold up, is he
I
going
swear
back
I'm
into
only
guys? Is he
here
going
'cause-
back into the closet right now?
He referred to it as heroin.
All right. To be
I
fair,
think he's a
WoW is
WoW
not
guy.
one of those things that you would go to closet. That is the most mainstream game of all time. So that is one you can kind of wear proudly wherever you go, and it's kind of like the basic nerd to nerd connection.
That's
and
total
any-
basic.
That's
nerd.
kind of like the one game I feel like I wouldn't admit to.
That is
when I
the
play.
pumpkin spice latte of games, man. That is the actual. Anyone can kind of. That's the basic.
dabble.
The
Okay,
basic,
okay.
the most basic game.
Okay, so you're back into it. What brought you back?
So I am actually not into WoW proper. The Elysium project is kind of this. They reinvigorated the vanilla project, so it's vanilla WoW. It's
Vanilla
the OG
means,
2004. It's
the launch.
Original.
the launch 2004.
Because vanilla
edition.
is the best flavor.
Before, obviously.
Potentially.
Yeah, if you're going to get anything, it's a real big side PSA. If you're going to get any type
Stick with vanilla.
stick with anything that's a vanilla base.
Oh, it's so
you get
good.
your chocolate your chocolate cookie dough, cookies and cream.
So you get the
and all
chocolate
Yeah,
on
yeah.
top of the vanilla.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Supplemental-
Yeah, you can get
supplemental to the
supplemental.
vanilla.
Yes, tertiary chocolate.
yeah.
See, I used to. What about German chocolate cake?
I've never had that.
What about triple chocolate cake?
That doesn't sound like it has vanilla in it.
I know.
anywhere.
Here's so I
like
used to
it's
be. I used to be
chocolate.
like you guys, where I thought vanilla was the best, but there are some experiences that just wouldn't be the same with vanilla.
Yeah, they would be better.
Yeah,
I don't think there's a
Crazy?
vanilla cake
Yeah,
that
but
can
what if
beat
you had
a
a
real
chocolate? What if
chocolate
you had your
cake.
chocolate cake with vanilla ice cream on top?
Oh, a la mode. Do you ever
That's
get
fine,
chocolate a la
but it's-
mode? No.
That's
you
fine.
don't get
That's
Like
fine.
apple
you
pie
can't
with
get chocolate
chocolate
a la mode.
chocolate a la mode.
Yeah, you don't get it.
that.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
apple pie is an
Apple
option.
pie isn't even like chocolate or vanilla, so why
It's
you gotta bring
vanilla.
that up?
It's
You get
vanilla,
ice
dude.
cream on an a la mode,
Oh
man.
my god.
That doesn't make it vanilla.
And let's be abundantly clear. Chocolate ice cream is nothing like actual chocolate. It is like
No.
the
Oh,
cough
some
syrup.
is. Some is.
Much like cough syrup is grape flavored, and I say that in quotes, and I'm using quotes because this is a broadcast.
We're broadcasting
Chocolate
right now.
ice cream is quote unquote chocolate
We're on air.
flavored. It's not real chocolate. It tastes like
Dude,
medicinal chocolate.
Ghirardelli chocolate ice
All right,
cream.
hold up.
Tastes like
hold
chocolate.
up. Hold the phone here, everybody. Listeners,
This is
write
important.
in. This is it fucking important right here. We need to hear from you.
Someone needs to die on this hill.
Stand with me and Musto here, the host and our kindly guest,
Co-host.
the test guest, Vanilla, right? Just tell us.
Yeah, or
Write
stand
in.
with the correct
one.
side. And
One
talk
eight hundred MATTRES. That's the 1-800 matches. Right? Are they still text one to there?
Yeah, write in gamestuffpodcast@gmail.com. Just let us know
why Brad's wrong.
Whether
And then he'll drop it, I'm sure.
no, just let us know whether we should keep Sean on the show or if we should just get him off.
Well, regardless, I'm leaving the show again, so.
Oh no, go back to Vanilla WoW. We detoured
Wow.
into
Yeah.
stuff there for a little
Vanilla
while. Let's get back
WoW.
to games.
Just saying. Chocolate
so,
WoW would be way
so
better.
It brings me back to an interesting time in life where the Taco Bell runs were plentiful and the income was low.
Interesting.
And,
Interesting. Is this
it's just a
trip you
simpler
want to
time.
take?
This was a good time for you?
When I was broke as fuck.
It's just
Shitting
like
my
it was just
pants.
a simpler time where you just had to choose whether you go out on a weekend or
Yeah, it
play
was
WoW,
like, you know,
pay for your WoW
yeah,
subscription.
exactly. I was gonna say that WoW subscription is like
That's gold.
You had
right
to
there.
hold on to that.
Yeah,
one,
my
you know?
lord, forget it. So my friends and I kind of jumped into it, and like I said, I wouldn't call myself a WoW guy. I have friends who are WoW guys and are hardcore, and I like rolling with them. We have a very tight knit group of New York based gamers out of the 5 of our high school buddies, and they were like, "Hey man, we're doing this," and I was like, "All right, I'm kind of playing League and other stuff, but I'll jump in." And sure enough, like it's straight therapy because the game is super. Like, when you're leveling, it is the most boring experience, repetitive experience of all time.
Yeah.
To a point where it boomerangs back to therapeutic. And, like,
Interesting.
I've actually had really great phone conversation with my mom today on Mother's Day while I was grinding boars.
Oh, yeah.
To, like, you know what I mean?
like, you're doing something
'Cause
it's so boring.
So
monotonous.
mindless.
It's like literally like pacing
And
while
it's
you're
like,
on the phone.
well, I'm doing
Yeah.
this. Now I can actually do productive things
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yep,
Like
and I've
calling my mom.
Waiting for a quest to spawn, I'll do an email for work or something. You know, like it just you have all
Maybe
this
I'll
time
work
for
today.
activities.
Yeah, maybe I'll do some work.
because the game's unplayable for 40% of it while you're waiting for stuff to respawn. So.
Yeah.
Dude, that is hilarious.
Yeah, it's an interesting kind of thing. So I've been like League and WoW, Vanilla WoW have been like two of my main go-tos.
So there's something actually I feel like I'd like to get into potentially a little bit since I got both of you guys here. You both play League of Legends a lot, like in your free time, because that's kind of a part of the culture at Riot, right? Like I was wondering if maybe you guys could talk a little bit about that and kind of just share like, what it's like working on League and playing, League all the time.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll set the record here. I don't work on League.
Okay. But I mean, well, you work for Riot, right? And that's,
Yeah, I work
that's kind
for
of like a
Riot.
part of the culture, though, right? It's
Yeah,
like that
it
everyone
is.
shares
Yeah.
in the love
From-
and like feel for
everyone
the game,
plays the
right?
game.
From like the finance department to who have like one of the best internal tournament teams in Riot's history to
Really?
the people who make the there's actually a cool an interesting piece on the rivalry between our esports internal so our internal tournament's called Rumble. Our Rumble esports Rumble team and our esports finance and our Rumble finance team, they have a very intense and storied rivalry, and actually have had a couple of Benedict Arnold situations where people have switched teams.
Okay.
And
Oh,
switched
like
and
they're like-
switched actual Rumble teams, and it's become like an intense, storied kind of rivalry internally. But yeah, I mean the culture bleeds the
So
game.
you're just like stealing scientists from the other side. Just like,
Exactly. It's like
Scientists,
talk-
exactly.
So
Doctors and
speaking from
scientists.
my team's experience, I mean this year I'm taking it quasi seriously with my team. By quasi, I mean we're committed to trying super hard in the
I was
beginning.
gonna say, like, explain the definition of quasi.
Quasi. We're taking this
Quasimodo,
quasi-serious-
right?
Quasimodo. So we're taking this somewhat seriously in the beginning. If we go go 0-5 or whatever the threshold is, where we're like, hey guys, this doesn't look promising, we're just going to switch to beer league.
You're just going to give up.
Yeah, we're just going to straight give up. And but we'll show up for games. We're not going to forfeit
So
games.
quasi is try only if you're succeeding.
try until you can't try.
Something like that. Yeah, I guess. So I guess there have been stories of this. The internal tournament gets heated and competitive. We naturally look for people who are intrinsically motivated and competitive to be the best at what they do and want to improve constantly.
Now, have you guys ever fired anyone for failing at this tournament?
That I can't say.
Not for failing, but I'm sure there have been like actual conflicts that come out of it.
That I do not know, but I do know that it is very intense. It is taken seriously across the board, and our team's committed to not losing friendships over this.
And that's a good goal. That's a good goal.
goal.
Because that's not worth it.
Yeah. But it's great for that.
The whole playing league thing boils down to exactly why you guys play your games at Respawn. Like why you guys
not very
play test
often though.
Titanfall. Yeah, but I mean while you're doing discovery
Now
on
that
a new
Titanfall
project.
2's out the door. Oh boy, I don't know. I've still been meaning to put the disc in my PS4.
I mean,
I haven't started
you
it
guys
up
are
yet,
done
but-
making games now, obviously. But
Yeah,
before
we're
that,
done.
when you did make games, you guys were playing them all the time because you have to understand the product. And if
Yeah.
players are asking for something, you have to understand why they want it and whether it's the right thing.
Right.
Because it could be this other thing that maybe you tweak balance on an item or something, and that fixes the original problem where they thought they needed more Titans or they needed a different like style of gameplay that just wouldn't have actually had the right effect.
Yeah.
So that's why we play the game everywhere, and also it helps us just kind of have a common language when we're talking about the product that we work on.
Yeah.
And that language is kind of complicated at times.
Yeah,
for League.
and the overall empathy with like pro players and the actual competitive scene.
Right, because
how much
that's a huge
pressure
part of your game,
they're
right? Like a
under
huge
and-
part of the success of League of Legends is the fact that you guys are like a professional sport. Whereas like with us with Titanfall, we don't have that, right? Like we got like two people on
Not
the
with that
servers
attitude.
right now
1v1.
I mean,
please buy our game.
If they have Madden tournaments for money, I'm sure that Titanfall can find its way into the competitive
Anything is
scene
possible.
somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's like really interesting and fascinating. I think it's like such a unique thing in the industry, like as far as game developers. Like there aren't a lot of studios that function like Riot functions, and I think it's really interesting because it's such a massive scale. Like you guys have thousands of people here in LA even, and like everyone's playing the game and everyone's a part of it and a part of that conversation, which is like kind of crazy. Where like at Respawn, a little bit of insight for us, like when we were close to launching Titanfall 2, we had regular playtests all the time, and now we basically it boils down to what we call Friday night fights, where on Friday, everyone has the latest build of the game and you play for an hour and a half from like 4:30 to 6 or something like that. And by everyone, I mean like 12 out of the 100 people on the team are basically online playing, and that's it.
Yeah.
And it's like so hard to pull people away from their work and get them to play the game. Whereas I don't think like that's the case at Riot. It's kind of just like encouraged
It's
to play the
expected.
game.
Yeah.
And we've been trying to make it an expected thing, and I think I think it's really important. I think like what you guys are doing is super important. Like you have to be aware of what the game is while you're making it. Like you can't just like kind of put your head down and make an asset and plug it in and not really kind of pay attention to how it's functioning.
And it all boils down to expectations. When you're doing something like this, like if this is, like you said, if this is expected of employees, it becomes kind of culturally acceptable to put down your work. And I think that maybe in Respawn's case, I don't know, but other studios might run into the issue of that work. Playing the game doesn't pay the bills technically, so there's that obviously that
we're not
preconceived
exactly
notion.
just like printing money like
Yeah,
you guys
and-
are. So it's like it's not a state of desperation, but it's definitely a state of like we need to keep making things to keep going.
Sure.
Yeah.
Whereas
Sure.
like it's a kind of a different state with you guys. And I just thought that was interesting. Kind of wanted to hear a little bit from your side, like what that's like.
Well, and because we publish and develop the game, we kind of own that whole experience. So we don't have EA who has shareholders who are breathing down their necks to make $1 billion or whatever.
Yeah.
So we can focus on the long term and focus on what is good for the game and good for players.
Yeah.
Instead of like having a publisher maybe sometimes making snap judgments, maybe sometimes releasing your game in between Call of Duty and Battlefield.
Yeah, maybe sometimes.
sometimes doing stuff like that,
Oh man, okay, yeah, that totally happened. It's weird. That was so on the nose, dude. Like,
It's like you knew.
yeah. Sean, what are you playing
Just a
this week,
guess.
dude? Besides League of Legends, what are you playing?
Oh, this week. Let's see.
Anything?
What am I
Did you play
playing?
anything this week? I don't know if I saw you play.
Well, I'm
anything.
kind of done with Mario Kart now that I 3-starred all the courses.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. That's what I said.
Throwing
I
your
was
weight
like-
around on.
Yeah, no big deal.
I go on
No
the
big deal,
record.
guys.
That's
150
pretty-
cc's. What am I playing? I'm like still crawling through Persona, but that's kind of just a relaxing game for me.
Yeah.
Like I kind of get
Alright.
transported to a different time and place with that
Take me
game.
through Persona because I have not jumped on the
You haven't played it at
bandwagon,
all yet?
and I hear all these
What do you
good
wanna-
things.
what do
It
you wanna
sounds
know?
like it's
Yeah.
basically
Basically-
it sounds like a high school simulator, which I'm like,
Yep.
Here, let me clarify. Japanese high school simulator.
okay.
As if there's any
Nothing
other
about-
type of high school simulator.
Nothing. Well, but I'm just saying, like, nothing about what you're doing at any time in this like high school relates to. I feel like American high school.
You
It is
learn.
so
Okay. You learn.
different. Like it is so
Okay,
like
all right.
culturally
Yeah.
different. But it's interesting. It's interesting to see like that perspective.
Well, it's that plus a dungeon crawler
Okay.
plus.
So you're telling me this is a cultural
dating
documentary
sim.
on
Plus a dating
Japanese high
sim.
school life? Is that what
Yeah,
you're saying?
yeah.
Partially,
exactly,
it
yeah.
partially
Is it?
is, and that's, I mean, a really
Anime?
stylized one.
Are we
It's-
talking anime? Or
It's
are we
the
saying
anime
actual
version.
Japanese
It's the anime
culture?
version of high school life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is
Okay.
way more exciting, I assume, than actually studying for
Yeah.
16 hours
But you
a day.
still
Well,
do
we've
have
all
to do
seen
that
Death
like
Note,
all the
right?
time in Persona. It's like, do
Yeah.
you want to study right now? And you're
Yeah.
like, again.
You know what would make this
Fine.
more exciting? Otherworldly creatures battling us for
Exactly.
our lives.
Yeah, let's do that
exactly.
instead.
So, okay.
Yeah, Persona is kind of that. It's like if you start out as a troubled high school kid. You know,
Always
you remember what that was
troubled.
like. You
Yeah,
get in trouble with the law.
Who doesn't?
Something happens, put you in like a weird spot where you have to go to another town to be in a different school all of a
Okay.
sudden.
Oh, wow.
And then it's like, okay, you're the new kid in town, and you
So
gotta
you're
like.
cool, you're mysterious, you're dangerous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
anything can go.
Ladies
right?
and
But no,
We have
but you're
idea.
not cool
Yeah.
actually, because that's like the funny thing about Japanese, like the Japanese culture. It's like everyone's like, "Oh my god, he might kill me!" Like,
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
beginning of the game, they're like
Oh, wait,
freaking
no,
out.
that's
because,
also
like,
American culture.
No. But in American culture, you are cool because you might kill someone.
Well, and the thing that he did was actually to protect someone.
Okay.
And so there's this huge, like, he's actually a good character. He never
yeah,
did
no,
anything
you're always
wrong.
a good character, but,
he's
it's like
in trouble
you're
with the law, so
misconstrued as like a
therefore-
troubled character. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, therefore he
Right.
must be a
So,
murderer.
so yeah, so you're going through every day. You go to school. You have to like answer questions in school, and then it's like after school, you're like, okay, can I go? Do I do this job and go make some money, and or do I go do this and build up my? You have like attributes where you like have to have charm, courage, kindness.
Okay.
Knowledge.
A tale as old as time. These
All
are the choices we
yeah.
all made.
Yeah,
Do I build up my
exactly.
charisma
Charm first.
or do I go make money?
And you can't ask this girl out unless your kindness is at level 3.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
So
Two.
it's like, you know, you
On.
gotta deal with this,
Yep.
and then your charm has to get this high. So you're kind of constantly balancing these decisions that you make to better your character. And
Wow.
at the same time, like all of a sudden, like, oh shit, we're transporting into this other dimension, and there's
Okay.
monsters,
Yeah.
and like now we gotta fight these monsters. And then it comes down
Also
to deciding.
indicative of high school experience.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's all happened.
It's been so long. I mean, I'm about to go to my 10-year high school reunion this year, and I guess I'm gonna have to go into the dungeon first
Right,
and
yeah,
grind a
you
little
gotta
bit
make
before
sure
I go
there's
back.
no netherworldly
Make sure
tentacle
your knowledge
monster
is
ready
level
to kill
3.
you.
Yeah, so
right.
so it's that, and you balance those two things, and Persona 5 is just kind of. I mean, if you've never played a Persona game, you shouldn't play any other one.
Oh,
Like
really?
besides
you
like
only
Persona
need
5.
one.
You should,
Yeah,
you
you
should
don't-
play.
you only need
It's
one.
not
you
like
should
a
play
story
Persona
driven
5.
where I have to. It's
They're
not a
not-
continuous
they're not
story. It's like
separate.
Final Fantasy kind of
They're-
deal.
yeah,
like,
Kind of, yeah.
exactly.
They just rehash the same
Yep.
themes
And
over
the
and over
thing is,
again.
Persona 5 is just the best version of
Yep.
all those games,
Okay.
and it really streamlines a lot of things, and it just makes it a lot more fun.
Yeah.
It's so
I'll put it on my
stylish.
price drop list probably
Yeah,
once
yeah.
it hits
I
that
mean,
kind of
it's definitely
30%
something
off.
you should check out if you like RPGs.
Yep.
It's fun.
It's turn-based
just
RPG,
massive.
right? It's
Yeah,
the old school
it's-
ATB kind of feel.
It's turn-based. It's not action time-based. It's
Oh, it's not?
basically
Okay.
just structured turns. So it's like, you know, units
Alright.
have speed, and it's like that determines
So there's no
at what
haste,
time
there's
to
There's
go.
a really
like-
strong affinity system where you're dealing damage based on weakness and everything.
Cool.
And that kind of
Oh,
feels
that's
better
like a
than other games.
harkens like Final Fantasy Tactics feel of like
Yeah,
Kind
it's
of,
very, it's
yeah,
very
yeah,
much
yeah.
like basically the whole point of the battles is to, as quickly as possible, figure out what that enemy's weakness is, hit them with it, it knocks them down, and then you can do like an insta-kill move on everyone. So
Cool.
it's like a really fast-paced
Wow.
battle system.
Or
It's really
you can
cool.
ask them to join your party.
Oh.
And then you have to understand their personality well enough to ask the right questions or respond to them in the right way so that they actually...
Interesting. So
join
there's
you.
like an EQ element to it of like you
yeah.
have to like kind of know
It's pretty trippy, man.
your
It's,
enemy.
it's cool. It's something
worth
worth experiencing.
experiencing.
Jinx.
Wow.
Jinx.
Shit.
Buy me a Coke, bro.
No.
This isn't sponsored by Coke, by the way. It could be Pepsi.
Yeah,
Coke
buy me a
Zero.
Pepsi, bro. Whoever, hey, Pepsi or Coke, write in. who wants to sponsor
Vanilla
the show?
chocolate.
I'll buy you a Dr. Thunder.
Oh, Dr. Thunder. Oh my god.
Dr. Thunder. Is that like a?
Is that
that's
like-
a generic brand.
Did your
reference. Yeah, it's
did your
Walmart.
parents always have generic soda? I'm trying to remember. Is that a
No,
thing?
my parents had
Real soda?
They had A-Treat soda.
Oh, yeah, A-Treat. Because I was gonna say, I remember them having generic soda. Like,
But it wasn't-
when
was it
when I would
generic?
come over to Sean's house. Basically, like it would be like an event, like a campfire or something, and they'd be like, "All right, you get one soda," and they're like, "That's it. You got your one can of
And then
soda."
Brad laughed in their faces.
But
But they were serious.
Yeah.
One
Yeah,
soda.
I was like,
They
what?
were all about the regimented, one of
I think
everything.
you got like
30
one,
minutes on
I think
the
you got like
computer,
one hot dog
soda.
too. I can't remember
No,
if we had limited hot dogs.
they never
or
held
not.
back on the food.
Okay.
I would hope that
Yeah.
they didn't limit
Yeah.
a child on their hot
No,
dog. That's like a
that's
form of
messed up.
abuse.
Yeah, I know.
You can't.
Starving us?
Yeah. So is that it for what you've been playing then, Sean?
Yeah, I think so. I haven't
Well-
really delved into anything new.
I haven't
How about
been.
you?
I haven't delved into like anything new. I'm still playing Prey, and I'm still really liking it. I keep getting to this point where I'm like, maybe I'll stop playing this, but then
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm liking it. I'm having fun. It's it's exactly my kind of game. It's like Deus Ex or like BioShock. I don't know if you have you played it at all, Musto?
Which one? Sorry.
Prey.
Oh no, I haven't. I've heard great things about it though.
It's cool. It's really interesting. I'm liking it so far. I think I'm about like almost 20 hours in. I think I'm just gonna try to beeline through the main story now because like I get. Sean knows this. Like, I get really stuck in this loop of I have to explore everything. So I'll hack every email.
You're a completionist.
I'll
So
fucking
slow.
open
Completionist,
every
yeah.
door.
So
I'm
Skyrim
picking up-
must have been a disaster for you.
Skyrim, I was gonna platinum it until I ran into the bug with the Thieves Guild. I put 80 hours into that game, and I was
Wow.
on the platinum track. And I did 20 hours
on the
track.
platinum track.
on the platinum track,
Wow.
baby.
Going
and,
platinum.
And I was about to finish the Thieves Guild missions, which was it was like
Yeah.
basically the most time consuming part because
Sure.
with the Thieves Guild in Skyrim, you had to go randomly do boring like go steal this thing out of someone's house missions like over and over again until they gave you like the ultimate thief
The
mission for that
actual
town.
mission.
Right.
Yeah,
Then you
yeah.
do it for each town, and it takes forever because you don't know when you're gonna get like that actual mission. It's just totally random. And so I did all that, and then I finally was about to do the final Thieves Guild mission, but you needed to equip your Thieves Guild armor that they gave me 40 hours ago at this point in the game, and I didn't have it because it was
You
shit
sold it,
armor.
yeah.
I sold it and I gave it away, and like because I didn't have it, I couldn't finish the quest.
Wow.
And there was no way to get it back. You
Really?
couldn't get it back. At
You
that
couldn't
point.
go buy it back from
No,
the
they didn't have
merchant?
it. And like that was a bug, and everyone was like, "Oh, I don't have the Thieves Guild armor." And I was looking it up online. I was like, "Fuck!" And I put the game down.
Yeah.
Never picked it back up.
So
I think like months down the line, they patched it in that you can like pick like the armor will always be in a chest in the Thieves Guild, so you can get it back. But oh my god, I was like,
did they call it the Brad patch?
yeah,
you write
should
in?
have.
Yeah.
I was so pissed. Like I was so frustrating. And what's funny about that is that was at a point in my life I had just gotten laid off from EA Salt Lake, and I had moved back to live home with my parents. I was not fired. I was
Technically
laid off.
fired.
It was a 6-month contract. It was over.
Yeah.
So laid off.
When they come in and they say, "Brad, you're being terminated," it's not a layoff.
They pull Brad only aside.
Layoffs usually encompass many people.
This is a
So-
one-person
So I
layoff.
had moved back home to Pennsylvania, and I was living with my parents, and like I didn't have a job, so I didn't have anything to do. So I was just playing Skyrim like all day, and like
you had
still,
something to do.
I still remember like my dad like coming home from work and like coming by my room and being like looking in at me and just just kind of like this like what are you
like,
doing
get
with
a
your
job.
life?
Yeah.
Look.
You gotta get a
I've
job.
been playing Skyrim for 12 hours, living at my parents' house for free. I graduated college. I have no job. Like,
Wow.
And then 6 months later, I got hired at Respawn. So
There you go, and here we are today.
all's good. Yeah.
So just a quick rant on Skyrim.
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, this
And-
podcast is fucking so off the rails. We're like
Yeah.
almost an hour in, and we've talked about nothing yet.
Most of that was
I
Guy
don't
Whiskers,
know.
though.
So quick rant. I think that now those types of sandbox MMOs are going to be held to a higher standard from how polished Zelda was.
Yep.
And
there's
Witcher,
and
no
Witcher.
excuse.
And Witcher 3, honestly.
yeah,
like-
and Witcher 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect example of like games done right. And Bethesda's gone away with murder, especially
Oh,
because
dude,
of how,
I've been saying
how
this for
gimmicky their
years.
games are and like how janky they are. And it's part of their charm.
Two
It's also part of their
animations.
lore.
yeah,
And
it is. It's like, oh my god, this bug's so hilarious.
yeah, and the
like,
bending
what?
head bug and
Yeah,
Fallout.
yeah,
And,
and
when you
Vegas.
talk to a character, it's like this static face that looks terrible. Even Fallout 4, Fallout 4, I played that game for 20 hours, and I stopped. And I was like, this is, like, because Witcher 3 had already been out, and I loved and played through that whole thing, and I thought it was amazing. Then you play a Fallout 4, and they're like, this game looks like shit.
Yeah, and
the
even,
characters
like,
are bad,
BioWare,
the voice acting is terrible.
BioWare has had slips. Like, there are a lot of big games that have been made that have gotten away with murder on their polish.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, they're so massive. And you get a Zelda, you get a Witcher that are just as massive, if not more massive in detail.
Made by smaller teams, might I say.
That
like,
are polished
budgets.
as hell. And it's like, now,
well,
it's
to
not
be
part of
fair,
your charm
I
anymore. Now you're held to a
can't
higher
actually
standard.
say how small the team was on Zelda. I don't know that. But
yeah,
I mean, I know
I'm
Witcher,
sure it was huge,
I mean,
but
I know Witcher 3 was like, like 100 people.
CD
or something
Projekt
like
Red
that.
is not a massive.
Yeah.
Well, and they all have the same development cycle too. They're all kind of in the cooker for 5 years, which seems like forever.
Yeah.
But at the end, like Bethesda just seems like an unfinished game.
What I think makes Witcher 3, I think, is just this. It is amazing. It's a masterpiece. I think IGN just rated it the #1 RPG of all time on like their list of 100 RPGs.
It's such a shame. I have
wouldn't
not
disagree with
gotten
that.
into it.
And the thing that I think is so amazing about that is not only did they make the game in 5 years or whatever, they built a whole new engine for that game in that same time and made the game on top of it that is just incredibly polished in like every way. It's just, it's so mind-blowing. And then you have like Bethesda, they've been using their same engine for like 10 years now.
And they have people's eyes falling out of their heads mid-sentence. And they're like, oh, it's part of the game's charm. It's just part of it's just us being us, you know?
You love it.
Exactly, yeah, whatever.
Oh man, So I've been playing Prey, and Prey is a game that it's fucking super buggy all around.
Yeah.
Too, honestly, I mean, I've talked about it before. I've aired some grievances on it already.
Yeah,
I won't get into it, but I'm liking it. I'm playing a little bit. I'm still trying to get through Nier a little bit on the side when I'm kind of bored with Prey.
How is that game?
It's
that
really
game
cool.
is topping my list of next games to do.
It's so cool.
There's a
It
demo
looks
out. You should play it
amazing.
because it'll just hook you in.
It has such shades of Ikaruga, and I loved that gameplay of like the dark, the color alignment versus like what does damage to you, and like it looks so awesome, and it just looks like a choreographed, elegant dance of action RPG.
That's a really good way to put it. That's an elegant way to put it. I would never say something like that.
Absolutely not.
All right,
but that is exactly what the game is. I've only played probably about 3 hours of it, I think.
Yeah.
But it's just really fun. If you ever played Drakengard back in the day, I think these are some of the same people that made the Drakengard games.
This is a good game though.
The Drakengard games are cool.
And Drakengard is not.
Sean's bitten down.
Yeah, he's laying down some heat.
You're right. Yeah. Did they lay you off, Sean? Yeah.
So I'm liking it a lot. I kind of want to focus on it mainstream, but I only jump in for like 15 or 20 minutes every once in a while when I'm like, do I really want to start Prey back up? And then I'm like, I start Nier and I'm like, I should just finish Prey.
Yeah.
And then another thing that I played this week, I played with Jared actually, is this game called Strafe. Have you guys heard of this one?
Oh, yeah,
heard
the
of it.
old school harken back to Doom, Quake 3.
But it's like a roguelike as well.
Yeah.
It's actually really cool. We were having a lot of fun with it. Yeah, it was really fun. We picked a shitty gun. We only did one run.
You pick a gun?
Is it split
so
screen?
basically the way the game works, it's not split screen. I wish it was. That would be awesome. The way the game works is you start in this like kind of like little hub, and there's 3 guns that you pick as like your main gun for that run. Mm-hmm. So you get like a machine gun or like a rifle thing and a shotgun, I think, or something like that. And so the whole time you play, that's your only like main gun that you refill ammo for. Everything else you get is a pickup that only has a limited amount of ammo. So it's like if you pick the machine gun, like you picked up, like now you're going through, you're killing guys with the machine gun, and then you pick up a shotgun and you have that shotgun for 8 shots, and then it's done. And then you throw it at the enemy and it kills them. And then then you bring up your old gun. So it's basically like that's your main gun that gets upgrades as you go along, and then everything else is just pickups. And it's really interesting because it kind of like forces you to keep switching things up as you're playing. And it's fun. It's really cool. The music is cool. It was getting a little repetitive. It's like because the music kind of like plays full blast as long as there's an enemy in the level, and then like as soon as you clear all the enemies, but it'll go away, but you might not know where that last enemy is, so you're just running around. It's like this super intense music and like nothing's happening. It kind of bums me out a little bit, but it's really fun. So I'm hoping to play more of that. I might pick it up myself. Jared bought it and we were playing it at his place.
It's on everything, right? On PSN and PC.
I think it's only PC
CDI.
and PS4 right now.
Okay.
A lot of the games are doing
that's
that now.
everything.
Yeah, I mean that's basically everything, right?
It's on the 3DO. It's on everything.
It's on everything.
Does that thing.
It's only on everything.
Pick it up on everything.
How do I decide?
All right, well, I think it's time for the weekly roundup.
Oh, yeah?
That's a cow.
We made sound effects, so we didn't have to
Rounding
do
up
this.
dead, dying cow.
They're constipated.
The joke
Okay,
is you
alright.
won't hear it now, but
Poor
like there is a
cows.
sound effect we made of like cowboys and horses like rounding up.
But we're
Oh,
doing
all right.
the sound effects with our mouths.
Yeah,
anyway.
we're doing real sound effects and then the vocal sound effects too on top of it.
Gotcha. Oh wow.
So the weekly roundup for all of you new people out there.
I'll
Noobs.
raise my hand.
Stuff
to that.
heads, we like to call you.
Stuff.
No, we don't. We'll think of something better.
Can you
we'll
just say
think of something
as we
way
like
better.
to call you the first time you say it, and just make that your
Get
thing?
stuffed.
Stuff.
This is basically us picking out a few select news stories that we thought were
don't-
particularly interesting for the
Don't
week.
tell them the secret sauce.
Oh shit!
They can't know how we do
Now
it.
anyone can do this
Oh,
podcast.
God.
Jeez.
We're doomed.
Fuck. All right, we'll edit it out.
Along with everything else. Yeah, that'll happen.
80%
That'll
of this
happen.
podcast. Yeah.
Hey guys, we know how to edit. All right.
Yeah, no, we'll edit
Trust
it out.
us.
Don't worry. Okay. So maybe like the biggest, most interesting one, because I've been talking about this like for weeks now. BioWare Montreal is scaled down, apparently. Mass Effect is being put on ice.
Wow.
For now,
On
they
ice.
say.
On ice is usually a term of death.
I mean, this is the
So, let
second
me read
time
a little bit of
this
this
is
to you.
happening, though.
Yeah. In the wake of BioWare's polarizing Mass Effect Andromeda, fans have wondered where the lauded sci-fi series will go next. The answer, according to people familiar with the studio, is nowhere.
Dun dun dun.
At least for the time being. BioWare has put Mass Effect on hiatus and turned Andromeda's developer, BioWare Montreal, into a support studio, according to 4 sources close to the company. Which is
Ooh.
funny because they were a support studio in the first place.
Yeah.
And this was their like opportunity to, step up into the big boy
leagues,
land.
yeah.
Who did the original?
Big boy land.
Big boy land.
Was Edmonton the original BioWare
Yeah, I
studio
think so.
with the doctors?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
What I think is so sad about this is that this game, I think, should have never been made in the first place. Because I'm going to give you my read down.
Wow.
This is
That's
my
that's pretty
read
heavy.
into I think what
All right,
happened
let's hear
here.
it. Let's
This
hear
is
it.
what I think happened. I think BioWare Edmonton made 3 Mass Effect games, and they were
Great
like,
games, all.
yeah, I love those games. Even though people think Mass Effect 3 has problems, I thought it was fun.
Yeah,
I
people
thought,
can fuck off.
the endings were fuck off. The endings were a little generic, but that's not the point. The point was the emotional stories and relationships you had with the characters,
The
which I thought
point
were really fleshed out and really well developed.
Was making love
Throughout
with
that
a
game.
Asari.
Oh
Yeah,
If you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Those Asari.
Yes.
wasn't
They're blue.
who was the girl, Jessica or something? Or
Who? Miranda?
Miranda,
Miranda,
yeah.
right.
Yeah, I know who you're
Miranda
talking
was
about.
where it's at.
She's not
Miranda was
Asari,
where it's
but-
at. I
so
actually
I-
really
so
liked
I
Ashley
actually-
from the first game too.
I'm the only
Ashley?
lame.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I'm the only lame guy who was in it for the friendships with Garrus and the like.
Oh no, Garrus was my boy.
Garrus was
Garrus is
legit,
badass.
man.
Garrus
I
is
actually
badass.
replayed the game
Just to
numerous
hang out with
times to
Garrus more?
save him because him and Rex, not Rex. Who's the in Mass Effect 2 the reincarnation of
guy?
Rex?
Oh, what was his
He's
name?
Krogan, but I can't
Yeah.
remember his name. But
I
anyway,
never remember his name.
yeah, they kept dying, and I was like, I can't have them die.
Yeah.
Like these
Yeah,
are my
no
boys.
way.
So I gotta figure out how to save them.
You know who
So you
I
put all
thought-
your energy into that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Until like
You know who my
Miranda
favorite
came
character?
anyone else can die. I was fine. But I did get the ending eventually where he saved everybody.
My favorite character was the Geth character.
Yeah.
What was his name? I don't know if he had an.
The green guy, or
he had
No,
Jack?
the robot.
Oh, the robot
the
guy.
Geth, right? That's what they're called,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
was
No, I thought they were called they're not the Geth, are they?
I thought it was something like
They
I'm
were
that.
not
the-
thinking the Flood, but the Flood is from Halo.
There were-
Different game.
So the
Yeah.
Geth were the ones that were actually that
They were the
actually
bad
found.
guys in the first game.
But then
and
there was another-
It turns out they were being used.
Yeah, there was another
by-
race controlling them,
Yeah,
which
of
were
course.
the,
There's always a puppet
Yeah,
master
of
race. There's
course.
always
Yeah.
Zelnaga, whatever.
Yeah, so tangent aside, I think BioWare was like, okay, we made these 3 games. They come to EA, they're like, we don't want to do more Mass Effect. We're done with Mass Effect. We'd like to do something new. And that's what they're working on.
Fresh,
they're working on something
okay.
new. There's actually another story about that we'll get into
Yeah.
next. And they're like, okay, cool. They're like, you don't have to make another Mass Effect game. And they're like, all right, awesome. And they go off into their own world and they're making their new game. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they probably heard from some top dog somewhere like, yeah, we're going to do another Mass Effect game. And they're like, what? What are you talking about? Another Mass Effect game? We're
Like
not
hell
making
you
Mass
are.
Effect. And they're like, well, yeah, no, you're not making it. We're going to get someone else to do it. And then their beloved franchise IP creation is now just handed off to a bunch of people who haven't made a full game before.
Mm-hmm.
And they're building up this studio to make it. And I think like from what I've heard, is there were like tons of lead turnover at that BioWare Montreal studio. Like leads were getting fired left and right,
Yeah.
basically,
Really?
over and over again.
They were churning,
and it was churning. And I think it's because there was a lot of creative differences. Probably BioWare Edmonton's like, no, you don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. Like this is how you need to make the game. And they're like, no, we're gonna do our own thing. And then you got all this, and that led into like a really troubled development, which I think led to like. And then you have EA basically saying, we need this game to come out now because we need to make money for this quarter. They forced it out for the quarter, and like while it was unpolished, and the game's screwed. Like I think that, like
this is Andromeda you're talking about.
Yeah,
okay.
I think there was just so much. There was so much trouble with that game being made because BioWare Edmonton didn't want to make more Mass Effect. I think it's just like that thing. BioWare didn't want to make more Mass Effect, and they forced them to make another Mass Effect game, and now you have this game that's just lesser than what came out before it.
You have the lack of love. The love poured into the game making process, and it feels much less. There's much less passion.
And I think there was a catalyst for that. The doctors left.
Well, yeah, that was a big thing.
I think that's where this started. That's where people kind of lost faith a little, and maybe people left the studio. I don't know. I would assume a lot of people followed them and had no one to follow anymore.
I'm not even sure what those guys are doing anymore.
One of them's doing like a beer blog around the world or something, and the other guy's just straight up retired. They're just living life, you know. They made Mass Effect.
Yeah, and I think it's just a bummer because I don't think this game needed to happen, and EA forced it, and because they forced it, and also because they forced it. I mean, I know they spent like 5 years making it, which is pretty crazy. And they it still felt rushed when it came out because it was so unpolished, and they're still putting patches out and still trying to make it better. But I think that this is so negative. Like the Mass Effect was like one of their franchises that like fans who hate EA love Mass Effect. Right. You know. And now, like, they just did the worst thing possible they could have to like a franchise that was so positive for them.
Yeah.
It's such a bummer to hear that this is put on hiatus. They don't seem to like hint at, you know, the studio like losing jobs. I think it seems like they're kind of like all being put on other projects. New projects. So that's good at least. And, you know, I hope no one's losing their jobs over this. But
I have a very dedicated stance. Dedicated? I don't know what the hell I'm trying to say. I have a very stern stance on something like this. If you get into constantly making new versions of the game, like Final Fantasy aside, because I guess, but even Final Fantasy sometimes overextends its boundaries, and they're like, we have to
Final
release
Fantasy 15.
Well, I mean, yeah,
13 2, like,
sometimes
13 2
it's
versus.
okay to announce you're putting something on ice to pursue other projects, because otherwise you get Call of Duty, and Call of Duty just becomes the Madden of games, or Madden of shooters in this case.
You can't make something really truly unique and different and interesting in that short of a period of time.
Yeah, and can you keep creating that? Because at the end of the day,
even Call of Duty though has gone to a 3-year dev cycle, which has actually been really good for them because the game quality has taken a huge,
a lot more innovation in
it's gone up.
Well, I mean, the release video for what was it? The Infinite Warfare. Well, the release video for Infinite Warfare would say differently because it was like the lowest rated YouTube video.
Yeah, but it was still a good game.
But it was a good game.
Decent.
I think that
I couldn't play
eventually you get to a point, and I think Call of Duty hits this point where you can't recapture that moment that the first game or even the second game or the third game has, and you just gotta like, let's try something different here, you know. Especially for a story game like this that has a continuing storyline. It's like, all right, man, like there's only so many times that this kind of stuff can happen where I'm like, all right, I'm kind of over this.
And to try and do it with a completely different team is even
and capture
more
the same
difficult.
Passion, right? Yeah.
Teams are everything. The people that make the games are everything. If you take some of those ingredients away, you're gonna have a different game. Maybe it's better. Maybe it's different enough that it feels like a new experience, or maybe it's just trying to ape the formula and not really getting there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, in relation to this, apparently the new IP, the project that BioWare has been working on, has been pushed back. The date's been pushed back from when they were planning on releasing it. I guess they were originally planning to release it, you know, in the fiscal year of 2018, but now it's being pushed back into the 2019 fiscal year.
This is the project that got...
this is like the BioWare that was making Mass Effect. Like this is
the new project that they were put on that got Mass Effect put on ice.
No,
essentially?
No. This is just BioWare in general.
This is what BioWare was working on when they said they didn't want to make Mass Effect anymore. So they've been working on this game for a long time, and apparently it has a lot of social implementation. That's a big thing.
That worked out well for Destiny.
Which is, it actually
did actually
surprisingly
work out pretty
has. Yeah. So
I mean, this is all stuff that we're hearing through like shareholder reports and earnings calls. This
yeah,
isn't BioWare coming
those
out
are
and
the
saying,
big
"Hey,
ones.
we've got something cool. Here's what it is."
This is a
It's
big unveiling.
yeah,
yeah,
so
gleaning little.
here's what they're saying.
They plan to
The
grow
delay
10%.
is attributed to new features BioWare is adding to the as of yet unnamed game, built around a live service, something EA said is coming along well. But they always have to say that.
Yeah.
So they say, we're very pleased with the progress of our new action IP from BioWare. It's so funny the way they have to talk about this,
Yeah.
said Andrew Wilson during the call.
Yeah.
We decided to add more to the disruptive new social design for our players. What the... Did I read that right? To the disruptive new social design for our players. What the fuck does that mean?
That is
means-
marketing speak during an
Yeah.
earnings
Yeah.
call.
What it means is
It's
that
going to disrupt the
new-
entire landscape.
The new game from Binding of Isaac is going to have even more infinite levels.
Oh,
You know what I mean? It's going to
that
have
makes
even
sense.
more. And
Yeah.
the best gameplay
Social
ever. It's all factual.
Now, what
zero
I thought
hype.
was interesting about this, and is kind of a bummer to me, was apparently stressed that the new IP won't be an RPG. Which, has BioWare ever made a game that's not an RPG? I don't think they have. Because
It's
they
definitely
made
their
Baldur's Gate.
forte. Right.
And
Yeah,
then they
Baldur's
did
Gate, KOTOR.
even SOTOR
Jade,
is-
Jade. What about that
Jade
Jade
Empire.
Empire?
That
Was
was
that
an
an
RPG.
RPG?
Yep.
It had RPG elements, but I don't think it was an RPG.
It was. It
Was
was.
it?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought
I
it
never
was
played it, but
It
I
was
always
real
wanted
time
to.
combat.
Yeah,
but
it was
but you
like
were
a
leveling
Dynasty
up and
Warriors thing.
everything.
Okay.
Wasn't it?
No.
Oh, was it?
It was actually a really good game.
Really?
It was super
Okay.
solid.
Yeah, it looked really awesome. I never played it because
It was an action
Xbox.
RPG.
And so it's not an RPG.
Yeah, and then they did Dragon Age and Mass Effect, and
Yeah.
everything has been an RPG. So it'll be really interesting to see what a not RPG is
Yeah.
from
Maybe
BioWare,
that's
I
how
guess.
they break the mold. Mm-hmm. That's how they come up with a new experience. Just look elsewhere.
Yeah. All right, next news story for the week. This one's interesting. I hadn't heard about this until just now. So I guess Halo 6 won't be at E3 2017. They're tempering expectations. Now, I find this really interesting because I've talked about this a lot. Microsoft is in a really weird state right now. Like, they're in a very, very defeated state as far as, like, their whole games program goes. I mean, the Xbox is being trounced by the PS4. And the PS4, like, you look at all the exclusives that have come out for PlayStation already this year, it is mind-blowing. They're all, like, amazing games. And, like, the Xbox, we don't even know what's around the corner for them. What do they got? Like a Forza game, and they got a
Hot Wheels. Forza
yeah,
Hot
Forza
Wheels.
Hot Wheels actually looks
Forza, yeah.
awesome
Yeah.
though. And so I think people
they-
were
they do
expecting
have,
people would be expecting to see Halo at E3 because
They have Sea of Thieves, which actually was one of the I don't know if you know are familiar, but that's Rare's
Yeah.
kind of comeback.
yeah, but that game
comeuppance
that game does not look like a game that's going to save the Xbox.
No, it definitely won't. But it was something that prompted me to buy the Xbox because I think in gaming in general, there are so many lackluster attempts at true co-op gameplay, and I think that like Sea of Thieves is kind of a cool foray into creating that kind of interesting co-op. Like we're commanding a ship, but I'm driving. You're shooting.
Have you
the
played it
cannons.
yet? Did you play
No,
it
I
at
haven't.
E3?
I actually, no, I didn't get to play
Okay.
it yet. I've watched a ton of gameplay footage, and I signed up to try and jump into early
Is
access.
there
at some
any
point,
sort
but-
of idea as to when that game's going to come out?
I think they were talking
Is it supposed to be
2017.
this year?
Yeah, they were
It
talking
better be this
2017.
year because Microsoft has nothing coming out this year.
Oh, it's not. And believe me, I think this is still down on their like exclusives
Yeah.
list of
Yeah.
like
So-
what would be cool to have.
Well, what's the premise of this game? Is it?
So Sea of
you-
Thieves is like you're essentially you can create a crew
You're a
of
pirate.
pirates. Yeah, sorry, you're
Yeah.
a pirate. You are just like on this island. You can get a ship, and you can command a crew of people, and like so you and your buddies can team up in
Yeah.
Xbox Live or on I think it's PC as well, which kind of crushed it because it was
Well,
originally
I mean,
Xbox
that's
exclusive.
one. No, that's another problem. Xbox has every single one of their games is
It's
not
gonna
be
it's
on
not an
something,
Xbox
right.
exclusive.
They
You have to play
cannibalize
on
And
it
it,
PC.
with
was, it
their own-
originally was, which was one of the reasons I bought Xbone was
Yeah.
to I was like, all right, Sea of Thieves seems awesome, I'll try
Yeah.
this. And then they announced it was for Steam. I'm like, well,
Yep.
shit, now I have no reason to have an Xbox.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those. You basically have a crew, and each person has an individual job.
Think
So one
of-
person's captain driving, one person's a gunner,
And
one
it's
person's
kind
an
of an
engineer
MMO,
to help.
like a MMO
yeah,
light?
yeah, it's like
But think
Okay.
of like
not an MMO,
imagine
it's like
Far
large
Cry. I mean, not
instances.
Far Cry. Imagine Assassin's Creed Black Flag ship battles, but like every single person's controlling an individual. Piece
And
of the
first
ship.
person, and so like
Yeah.
you're as your thing's taking on water, there are people that can be down repairing the hull, and like that you can get boarded.
It
and you
does
have,
look like it could be
melee-
Sounds
really
cool.
fun.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've been waiting for a Rare game that's not fucking Connect Sports or whatever for like 10 years.
Yeah, like,
so,
welcome back,
I mean,
guys.
so I hope it's, I don't know, I hope it's good.
Yeah.
I just, I'm
that's
not
not
holding
enough
my
to save the Xbox.
I wanted to say I'm not holding my hat on that, but that's not a saying,
Breath.
right?
It's
Is
the
it?
Hanging your hat on?
Hanging my
your
hat,
on
hanging
it.
my hat.
Yeah, you don't
I'm
want
not
to hang your
hanging
hat
my
or
hat
hold
your
on it
breath.
or holding my
Don't
hat
do
on.
either of
I'm
those.
not hanging my breath on this one.
Don't even
Don't
wear
hang
a
your breath
hat.
on anything, really.
So I don't know. I'm really curious to see like what E3 is going to bring from Microsoft this year, because now they're saying Halo 6 isn't going to be there. What are they announcing? They have to show something awesome on Scorpio, right?
And interesting, 343 said that they're going to be showing something. They just don't know what it is. So
Really? They said that?
Yes, there is another article on. I can't remember what it was. They said, "quote We'll have something."
Huh.
They didn't. They
Okay.
did not get into specifics on what that something would be, but it's not Halo. It's confirmed to not be Halo related.
Honestly,
So,
this
could be
story-
anything. Could even be a boat.
Yeah. An
Actual one of
boat.
those. Yeah.
It seems like it's kind of damaging to even talk about this before E3.
I would have
If
just,
you're not gonna
I would've
show it,
just
just
let
don't show
I would have
it.
just let it be
Oh.
silent. But it's weird because they're saying like they're tempering expectations, and like Sony
Yeah.
did
They're
this
not.
last year too with PS4 Pro. They're like, we're not going to show PS4 Pro at E3.
That's
and it's
a-
like,
Wait,
That's a
what
device, though.
What conversation would you be having though if after E3 nothing from Halo 6 was announced and they just
The
like
same
you
one,
just
probably.
quietly went into the night?
People are still going to talk
Well,
about
here's
it
the
not
thing.
being there.
I think in that case, it's like, okay, so we're not showing Halo 6, but maybe we do have like 10 really fucking awesome games we're going to show for the first time. No one would care they didn't show Halo 6 because they'd be like, oh yeah, they showed a bunch of cool games. Mm-hmm. In this case, now we're talking about, oh, they're not showing Halo 6. Like,
yeah.
what's
I just want
going
them
on?
to let me be disappointed at the end of E3 rather than
But you have the
weeks
potential.
before it
You have
and
the
at
potential
the
to
end.
disguise the
Really?
disappointment, though. Because
Sure.
I mean, like, that's what
They
I'm
still
saying.
do.
Like,
They still do.
I think this is a classic example of the Kobayashi Maru of it's a no-win scenario.
It's a no-win,
Like, you
but
just-
I think this is worse than just
Really?
not talking about it.
setting expectations
They're
with your audience is
souring.
worse.
So now I've got a bone to pick with them because I know they're
you'll
not.
have a way bigger bone if they don't say anything.
Dude, I'll have a huge bone if they if they announce
Give
anything
Sean
cool
a
for
bone,
Xbox.
343. Come on.
dude, they're giving you such a
They're
huge
not
bone
tempering.
right now.
They're not tempering expectations. Well, actually, in a way,
They're
they
just
are.
giving you a bone.
No, they are. They're setting
they're
they're setting
boning you,
really
is what
low
they're doing.
expectations for Xbox in general.
Yeah,
They're
all
saying,
right.
"Hey guys, don't get excited."
I
Why?
guess that does kind of suck, right? Like,
Just let
yeah.
me not be excited at the event.
But
Yeah.
they say something, quote unquote. So
Well, we'll see.
Who
We'll see.
knows?
I'm really, really interested because I'm actually interested in Sony's E3 presentation too, because they showed so many awesome games last year. I'm wondering how do they live up to that. But I don't know. I think they're going to do
They've
it
been doing it.
because yeah, I don't know.
There's so much cool indie stuff. Just having that sizzle reel of indies
That should
is always
be.
really
We
exciting.
should do that for next week's topic. We should talk about E3 and
Yeah,
predictions and stuff like that.
yeah.
That'll be fun. So another a story that happened this week. Bringing this one in because we got Musto here. Our test guest is a sports guy like me.
EA continues its shameless pandering of bandwagon hopping. Stop me if you heard this one before.
Yeah, I know, right? So Madden NFL 18's cover athlete. Can you take a guess as to who this might be?
Oh God! Well, it's the greatest of all time edition.
Yeah,
so
it's a
gotta
GOAT
be the one
edition.
and only Tom Brady,
Here
who
he
is
is.
the unabashed greatest of all time.
Yeah.
the greatest.
and his own biggest fan.
So for the first time in Madden NFL history, the cover athletes in back-to-back years are teammates.
This-
As the 5-time Super Bowl champion follows last year's cover athlete, Patriots tight end Rob Gronkowski.
the caveman himself.
Yeah, so we got Tom Brady as the cover on Madden. I haven't
And the
played.
greatest of all time edition.
I know, that's so ridiculous.
I'm so aggravated. Like, why would you bring Madden as the cover of Madden Greatest of All Time edition? I don't get this.
The dead guy.
Resurrect the corpse of John Madden.
Wait, he's not dead though.
dead. No, that's why
Okay, I
it's
was
very
gonna
funny.
say that would be hilarious if actually like one of these years they did just bring John Madden back as the cover for John Madden, like for the Madden video game. It's just like
They're like, we ran out.
Madden, just like
Oh
with
my
a football
God.
or something. Like,
Oh my god! Just doing the Heisman pose or something, which is totally
He
unrelated.
was
and
on
fantastic.
some of them, wasn't he? In
well,
the beginning.
I'm sure he probably was like originally like just his face.
It was
or
just
something.
it was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
an announcer's booth photo. I think like
Yes.
Madden
Yeah.
'92
I
or something
remember
was like
seeing
an
that.
announcer's booth photo.
Yeah.
He had like the headset on and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of him, like I don't know, Pat Summerall. Who else?
I haven't played a Madden game since the one of the years they did like a direct TV an NFL ticket like buy-in, where if you bought the game for like $100, you get an NFL ticket, which was crazy.
Oh,
because it was like the
really?
cheapest way to get it.
Really? They did like that promo with Madden? I never.
It was crazy, and I think that was like 2 years ago.
Yeah,
and
it
I
was
bought it
pretty
then,
recent.
and I played it I played one match or something, and I haven't played a football game since NFL 2K5, because NFL 2K5 is to this day the best football game ever made, and that was the year when EA bought the NFL license and shut down all other football games.
Yep. And they were like, bye. I used to play, it was something Pigskin Foot Brawl. And it was like a Mutant League football game, but it was like
Foot Brawl?
And it was fantastic. It's a side-scrolling football game that was just a clown fiesta from start to finish.
Oh
and
my
it was
God.
so much fun.
Yeah,
but then those games go away once EA gets the chokehold on the innovation dies.
I miss that no one else can get NFL and make a game with it, because the thing that sucks is like there are people that could make really good football games, but no one's gonna make a football game without the NFL license.
And you have like great upstarts. So, for example, hockey in the hockey world, there's a game called Old Time Hockey, which doesn't use the actual NHLPA license, I don't believe, but it has like the old school feel of NHL '94, but with like all the fighting, all like this ridiculous violence and stuff.
Man,
and it's
that's
just
so much fun.
A slapstick arcadey type of game.
Yeah, and a game just came out called NBA. What was it? NBA basketball.
Not Showdown, right?
There's a game that just came out this past week or the week before. It's like
we talked about it.
NBA Street?
It's not NBA Street.
It's not that, but
it's similar. It's like
It's very stylized.
It's 2v2, and it looks a lot like NBA Jam. Back from like the SNES area.
Interesting. So I just watched a podcast. I thought
Playgrounds.
NBA Playgrounds.
Yes, I think that is the big. If you go on Twitch, I think that is a highly streamed game, and I believe it was NBA Playgrounds that I was watching a stream of, where a team won 100 games straight on this 2v2 half court game.
Oh my God.
And we were like riveted, and I was like, it was like one of the best Twitch streaming experiences ever, because we're like, oh my God. And they ended up getting beat by the most ridiculous team of this mascot that was a cougar and a guy with a jetpack. And like, it was so great. I'm like, all right,
and that's
all
what
right, I see what they're going for here.
Like, I want
where's
them to be able
the
to do that.
innovation? Madden's just like
NBA
is so
NBA Street, NFL Street, all of those games, those were so much fun.
The Blitz, NFL Blitz.
Yeah,
and stuff.
I used to take Donovan McNabb and run him up a fucking wall.
Hell yeah.
He used to run up the wall and like throw the football, and it's just like, dude, this is awesome.
NHL hits. I feel like the sports gaming industry in general,
the
genre has gotten so serious and takes itself so seriously.
We're a sim,
and like that's it. And so you
yeah.
have like some really cool indie games like Old Time Hockey. There's the East Side Hockey Manager, where you just manage a hockey team and you can make them into like the Charlestown Chiefs, ridiculous fighter-laden team that goes through. But it's all sim-based. It's all text-based. There's no actual graphics, which is actually interesting. But it's a very intensely. It is actually one of like the big games that are used for like training and how to scout for hockey and like how to like
crazy.
It's cool.
There's
like,
a soccer one too, right? Like football.
Football Manager. Yeah, which is like a huge one. Yeah, that is like a really. And they actually have. There have been stories written.
Yeah,
on
why
them,
doesn't EA buy the?
Yeah, why doesn't EA just buy it up and
FIFA,
make it into the Madden manager mode? Because you can't make a full game within a full game, dude. Like, you gotta put your eggs in one basket. So Madden in general, I think, is just like the who cares release of the week.
Yeah. That's the definition.
You heard that one before.
It's exactly the problem you were talking about it with releasing the same thing every year over time.
With very little innovation. Now the concussion mechanics are so real.
Madden is notorious
you
for
actually have
changing
to
one little
give
thing.
your players a concussion
They'll
test.
actually add something one year and then take it away the next and add it again.
Yeah, and like it's
2 years later as a new feature.
Like, come on, guys.
Yeah, we took it out because we were really tooling it, and we really figured it out.
Tool it.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Sports games you can buy once every 3 years and you're fine.
Yeah.
3 year cycle.
Because nowadays I think they actually update the roster lists and everything.
Yeah,
even like for the
and
older
you can
games.
download updates for NHL. I'm still
really?
rocking NHL 2015.
Yeah.
And it's still fine for me. I don't need like concussion
It's
mechanics.
really interesting. I think a lot of people have been wondering when these sports games are going to move to the games as a service route, and I'm really curious about that as well, because like they're already doing it with older games where they're updating the rosters, and I'm just wondering how. I guess we're still getting a Madden every year because people are still buying.
The minute they stop printing money will be when they do that, but they still like a Madden still hits and it makes a ton of money.
The machine is
and
just
even their
running
esports
right
team,
now.
they're running $500,000 tournaments for this thing, and I'm like, real football exists, guys. Like, I don't want to watch this. I don't know what their game plan is.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is either. I mean, is there a huge audience for Madden?
I don't know. I don't know enough to speak to it, but I can't see how. Maybe because the community is so rabid, and it's one of those. is one of those situations where it's a true kind of beer league of like anyone can be a football hero in a video game.
Yeah.
And
That's
like,
true,
they're
right?
So,
That's true.
They're so into like the one
Yeah,
way you
we're really
prove
into
yourself in gaming is who's the best at Madden, you know, like, and I feel like that's very kind of like anyone, the basic throwdown.
Well, it's a very different audience from like the League of Legends audience, right?
Which
Like,
is
like, you know, this is like you kind of get like the bro world a bit in video games with the Madden scene. Like if you watch, like, because I was at I think it was at EA Play last year where Titanfall 2 was at, and you know, like sequestered off in our own rooftop area where no one knew where we were at.
Room.
But they had this whole theater dedicated to, like, at one point there was a big Madden tournament, and like, and it was so funny because like the production was incredible, and they were live streaming the whole thing obviously online. And the theater was set up so awesomely, and there were like hundreds of seats, like I don't know, maybe a couple thousand even. And how many people do you think were in the seats?
Oh God,
20.
5?
Yeah, it's about that. I think I remember counting 5 people in the seats watching the thing at EA Play, and like, and it's like 2 guys in these seats, and they like got their big football jerseys on, and they're like sitting down, they're all
wearing
like
pads.
super serious. They got all their pads on.
They got the huge Gatorade bucket with them. Got support on coach.
Coach is standing on the sidelines. You know, the water boy's running over every 5 minutes.
Don't get me wrong, like I know that I will never look down on someone for being passionate about a game that they like.
Oh, no, I was saying...
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, if I could go and see a League of Legends style thing in real life at any time of the day, why would I watch a game version of it? And football, I can watch people play football.
But
I can't watch people with swords stab each other.
You can't do the same thing.
I just thought about this, though.
Stun
Think about
everybody.
this. NFL... I mean, I talk about this all the time. The problem with being, like, NFL is really the only sport I actually watch, and I love watching NFL. The season is so short.
Yeah.
You get 3 or 4
fair.
months out of the year
That's
to
very
watch your team. And I guess maybe what's interesting about the game is that, like, you know, maybe that fills in the gaps. But what I find so interesting is they always launch NFL Madden when the season starts.
Yep.
And I'm like, I'm too busy watching real games to play Madden
This is
right
better
now.
to happen
I'm wondering
in January or February.
Yeah, why don't they
when
launch
season's
Madden
ending.
after it's over? And it's like,
announce it at the Super Bowl when you have an amazing marketing push. You know?
I don't know.
Well, NFL,
we should
I mean,
talk
that's
to some
NFL.
people
We
at
should
EA
talk.
about
Let's
this.
chat
We got
about
some
the release
ideas over
schedule.
here.
Brad and Chris here. We host
Game Stuff Podcast.
Game Stuff Podcast. 3 podcasts deep now. We're experts in the industry.
Episode 4, actually, by the way.
We've got some publishing tips for you guys.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, interesting thing. My dad is like a huge Madden fan and a huge sports game fan in general, and he plays 2 types of games, and I still play games with him to this day. And he is a shooter fan because he loves killing bad guys, and a sports fan because he is big into sports ball, any sport.
Yeah, right.
And it's I think a lot of it is sorry, Dad, like Uncle Rico syndrome.
No, I've said worse things about my dad on this podcast.
I think a lot of the
Very true.
a lot of the fans of Madden games, I'd be interested to see the demographic breakdown because I feel like a lot of it is Uncle Rico syndrome of like I used to throw a football half a mile back in '87, you know, and like they just are recapturing that like feel of it.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the actual breakdown is, but for me, like I love playing hockey games. I played hockey my whole life, but I can't play pro hockey, so it's the closest thing I can get, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's like a kind of an interesting breakdown of like who plays Madden games psychologically and what is their game plan there.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I mean, I guess they're just trying to build up, like they want to make it an esport, right? So they're pumping money into it. I think that's what it comes down to. Like I don't know if that money is like I don't think that money is organically happening. I think that they are intentionally pushing it.
I think the next big step for Madden, if they really wanted to make an esport, is make it more co-op and see if you can get 5 people on the same page of playing Madden.
I wonder
and seeing the best teams go at
Yeah,
it would
that
be
would
very
be-
interesting.
that would be
Because now
really
your wide
interesting.
receiver has to know the patterns and stuff.
Well, what I
and-
find is so fascinating is like a system like I think the PS4 supports like 7 controllers.
Yep.
At the same time, right?
Yep.
And like no game that I know of takes advantage of that.
Yep.
So why doesn't Madden do something like that?
Yeah.
Where it's like, you have 5 people who are playing your O line, or
Yeah.
like, you know maybe you have 2 people play your O line, and you have a couple receivers, and you have your running back and then your quarterback, and like that would be fascinating to watch. Actually,
it has that feel of you could run it like an actual sports broadcast in that you have like the field view, you can see everybody, but like part of the allure of like a League of Legends or Dota or watching these like or even Counter-Strike is like you have multiple people that have to be on the same page doing the same thing, which is is really cool to watch. Like the highest level teams kind of get on that script and kind of could be a cohesive unit.
Yeah.
And it makes it much more interesting than a fighting tournament thing, which is 1v1, and it's like very like who's the best at that. And it's just not as like I don't know, it's just not as gripping the 1v1 scene as like the team based scene is for esports. So that's my personal sense on it, but I think it would be interesting to see Madden 5v5 or something like that, and what could come of that.
Hey, EA, right in. You know, just let us know what you think. Let us know what you think about our idea. Just write in gamestuffpodcast@gmail.com. Just let us know. We think we got some ideas. We should probably just do some talking to each other. You know, just do a little bit of talking. So this is the last story for Weekly Roundup. This one's another sad one, honestly, and hopefully it turns out okay. Maybe it'll turn out for the better. But Square Enix is putting the Hitman developer IO Interactive up for sale. After almost a decade together, Square Enix and Hitman developer IO Interactive are going their separate ways. In a brief statement, Square explained it would be withdrawing from the business of IO Interactive as a wholly owned subsidiary, suggesting it wants to sell off the studio. No clear reasons were given for the presumed sale, beyond Square claiming it wishes to maximize player satisfaction as well as marketing potential going forward by focusing its time and energy on key franchises and studios.
So
that is a fucking diss
So
right there.
IO is not a key franchise or studio.
But what sucks is the new Hitman game is really good. The one they released one.
How long ago was it?
I bought the first episode. That was about it. And like the game's really hard for me. So
Yes.
like I didn't actually.
So it's
get very
episodic
far.
this time around.
They did episodes and it was really interesting. So basically, it's not really an. It's almost not even an episode.
It's like a
so much
scenario,
as it's a level.
right?
They give you a really big open level that has tons of potential, and they're like, okay, for $5, that's the level, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna play this, and you can get tons of hours out of that one level, and it was a really interesting approach to the game. They are trying to tell a story, so it kind of like ruins the story vibe of the game. But as far as being a sandboxy, like kill people in weird ways, like dropping an electrical box on this thing that chains into this and blows up this, and you know, it's like really interesting. Like you kind of create these Rube Goldberg situations of just killing people,
or just choke them with piano wire.
Yeah, exactly. You can do it the old-fashioned way.
For the classics among you.
And I think it's weird because I think this was like a move Square Enix made a while ago to acquire these guys when they were kind of trying to strengthen their hold on the American market.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if they're just like, yeah, actually our Japanese games do well in the American market now. And they're just like, maybe we don't understand this American stuff. Let's just let them do
Almost
that.
a decade is not that long.
Because I'm surprised they haven't done this with Tomb Raider, to be honest. Like if they're doing it with Hitman now. Because Tomb Raider, they kind of put that franchise in a weird spot. Like by the first game, it didn't sell really well, but it was an awesome game. The second game, they shot themselves in the foot by launching it as an exclusive on Xbox.
Yeah.
And then it came out on PS4 a year later, after Uncharted 4 was already out. People just didn't care. I bought it. I played it. I thought it was okay. It wasn't, I don't know, I didn't like it as much as the first game.
It's a nice popcorn game. You just blast through it.
Yeah, you kind of blast through. It's really fun to play.
just
I just think they don't tell a
popcorn
really
game.
interesting story usually.
Right.
But the gameplay is really fun. And I don't know. I guess Hitman didn't do well enough for them to hold on to it. I kind of hope that someone... They've been making Hitman games for a long time.
Is that all they make? IO?
I think it's all they make nowadays. Oh, okay, here we go. It says that the first title
Kane
was
Lynch.
Kane Lynch 2, which
Oh,
was actually
I
a cool
forgot about
game.
that.
That is a cool game.
Those games were really interesting. And then they worked on the Hitman franchise. Or they
Wow.
returned to the Hitman franchise. Okay, so I guess Square took control of the indie studio back in 2009 after acquiring its parent company, Eidos Interactive. And I guess, so they were working on Hitman before, but then they did Kane Lynch 2 under that was their first title under the new regime, I guess. And now they're up for sale. So hopefully someone puts some money into them. Because I think that Hitman could do really well if they actually advertised it. I think it's another case of like, well, we're not really pushing this game.
I had no idea when the last Hitman released was, and I have not.
That's because
played
they've
the
been
game.
releasing it for like the past year.
And
So, like, one episode
And it's
comes
so
out every couple
flooded.
months.
They have the Hitman Go stuff too.
And so is Hitman akin to in any way, or like the gameplay akin to like a Dishonored kind of thing, like a choose your own adventure? You can be passive, you can be aggressive,
You have
you can run a gun, you can stealth.
kind of, except for you do have to kill someone eventually.
Is there
There's always a target.
You do have to kill the person at the end.
Is
like,
there,
it just
like,
matters
I was
how
gonna
you
say,
do
like, is this something Metal Gear Solid did better? Because I feel like I played kind of like tactical espionage, which sounds like this kind of is akin to.
It's a very unique style of gameplay.
Very different, because like what I was saying earlier about like setting up, you can set up crazy ways for people to die, like all over these levels, and like really different setups. I mean, like, and it's a lot of the game has a lot of like disguise mechanics, where it's like, to get into this area you need to somehow get a cook outfit, and now you get a cook outfit, and now now I can go poison this dish. If I poison this dish, it's gonna cause one of the guys, not the target, like the target didn't die because his friend ate the thing first. Now he died.
But
now
he'll evacuate.
He freaks out. He goes to this spot. I knew he was going to go there. I planned up something already to blow him up.
Everyone's got a routine, and you're kind of working around that. So your
Yeah.
whole contraption has to work at the right time too.
Or you can be a mechanic and you can sabotage some machinery, and like that's going to cause something bad to happen. Or you can literally just walk up to the guy, shoot him, and run
Shoot him
away.
in the head.
Interesting. So you live out like the Bourne Identity kind of fantasy of like
pretty
you're
much.
this ultimate killing machine, and
Yeah, it's actually really cool. It's just actually pretty hard.
Yeah.
Like I was having a hard time just getting past like the first level in that game.
Interesting.
So that's why I never really got any further. Also, I think it came out at a pretty terrible time. I was crunching on Titanfall 2, so I didn't have a lot of time to really just be like, okay, I'm failing over and over again.
Right.
I don't think I really want to do this right now.
if only they had laid you off in quotes.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Then I have
Like
all the
EA,
time in the
like
world.
EA.
Hey, Respawn, right in. Let us know if you still want Brad working on your sound team.
GameStuffPodcast@gmail.com. All right, that's it for the weekly roundup, guys. We made it through. So we're gonna do something new this week. I don't think we've ever actually done this, which is interesting. We're gonna do a main discussion topic.
A real topic.
Like a
thing.
Even though we've really dug pretty deep into everything we've talked about so far.
Yeah.
gonna be a
What
long
is the
one.
main topic if these have been tertiary topics?
I
We'll make
know,
this
right?
a short to medium main topic.
Yeah, I mean,
alright.
I think this could
It won't
go
be
either
that
way.
long.
This could go either way.
Because, I mean, how much can we really expect from this?
Yeah, I know. This is a lot of speculation. So, I mean, with E3 coming up around the corner, we all have hopes and dreams and wishes.
For our favorite new console.
Yeah. The Nintendo Switch!
Switch it up.
So,
Wait.
Oh, that was the worst.
oh,
I'm too sweaty.
yeah, dude. It is like 1,000
Dude, it's a
degrees.
sauna in here.
in,
I'm
in the studio right
sweating
now.
in
I just
areas
want
I
to say,
never knew
you know,
produced sweat.
I didn't
Yeah.
even know I had those areas.
Yeah, I'm discovering new things about myself.
it's not a comfortable environment, but we're having a good time.
Hey,
so.
it's great. Yeah, it's comfortable from an emotional sense.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
physically not.
Yeah.
That's all that really matters.
So we're going to talk a little bit about what we hope will happen with the Switch at E3.
Yeah.
I think it's it's a console we all own, right? Musto, you
Oh
own a
yeah.
Switch?
Oh,
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
on board.
we all
I was on the
Switch.
pre.
We
As soon
all-
as I saw Breath of the Wild.
Yeah,
like everyone
we
else
all
on it.
pre-ordered. We all got
So
it day
worth it.
one.
We all got a $400 Zelda game. Yep.
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
$460.
$460, right?
And Mario Kart.
Yeah, but that was like
I
a
didn't
month
even
later.
get Mario Kart yet.
So I love the Switch. I love the hardware. I really loved Breath of the Wild. That game was fantastic and amazing. And ever since that, I just really haven't played it. And I keep trying to. I keep going to the store. And I'll
Maybe.
buy. I've bought like almost half the things you can buy on the fucking
Okay.
eShop. But like none of those games are just doing it for me.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
And but Mario Kart is fantastic. So Mario Kart and Zelda are fantastic. And like the thing that I think is a little worrisome about this is that is kind of been the trend for
Every
Nintendo
Nintendo.
console
every
for
Nintendo
like
console.
3 generations now.
Easily.
Right? And so I haven't found that third-party game that's really pulling me in yet.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Well,
I'm
it's
wondering,
not there. There's nothing there to pull
There's
you in.
nothing. Yeah.
Oh, Tumbleseed, man. What are you talking about?
Whoa, yeah.
That's true. I'm sorry.
Duh.
So, I'm kind of hoping. So, I guess I'll start. I'm hoping for a couple things from Nintendo at E3. The first thing I was hoping they already ixnayed. That's a
Did
word
they?
from that's Pennsylvania Dutch country
It's
right
a
there.
Pig Latin term.
So, basically, whatever, same thing.
Ixnay on the Igpay Attenlay.
Yeah. So, I was hoping that they would do a legit E3 conference, and
Yeah.
they're not doing it. They're doing a Nintendo Direct again.
Well, they
which
wanna
the Nintendo
set your
Directs have
expectations.
lately. They want to temper my expectations.
Oh boy.
The Nintendo Directs lately, the past 2 have actually been pretty good because they kind of just grind through a bunch of games.
What was the last one?
Yeah. What was the Nintendo?
There was the Nindies one, and then
That
there
one-
was
yeah, I saw that
then
one.
there was the one that was like a couple weeks ago where they just shot through a bunch of games like ARMS and Platoon, and
Okay.
they showed like basically 15 games.
Okay, are they
And it was really
are
cool.
they less painful than the Switch? Switch
Yeah,
announcement
yeah,
was? 'Cause
yes.
holy hell,
Yes.
was that
It's
a
the
slog.
American team.
Well, no, because
Okay.
that was a conference.
Oh,
And then like that gets into the argument of like, okay, well if that's what their conferences look like,
Oh,
do I
it was
really want an
painful.
E3 conference?
And the answer is no.
Probably not. And none of it's going to look like that. But that's a Japanese conference, totally
Yeah.
different cultural thing. Whereas I would hope that Nintendo of America would pull together a better American
Yeah.
conference. But
Come on, Reggie.
the
right
the
in,
Nintendo
Reggie.
Direct will be okay. Right in, Reggie.
Let us know how your conference is going to go.
So they're not doing that. So I'm hoping that they kind of just do another Nintendo Direct with a bunch of really awesome games that we haven't seen yet. I mean, like that's I think what we're all hoping for. I mean, I want to see some legit, unique third-party support. I don't want to see ports. I don't fucking
I think
care about
Nintendo
ports.
would love that too.
Yeah, I think they would too.
Yeah.
What's interesting is
Speculating.
it seems like the Steam is really picking up for third parties with the Switch. Like they're recognizing that
In
the Switch
what
is
way?
selling really well, and they're committing to doing more work. Like I know EA this past week, basically last year they were like, we're not making anything for Switch, and like apparently this past week they're like, yeah, we're on board. We're gonna support it.
Oh,
so
awesome.
hopefully
Well, now
more
it's 2
comes from
years
that.
out. Whatever they're going to make is 2 years out.
I know,
They're
whatever
gonna
they're
make the next Mass Effect for
Yeah.
it. Yeah, it's coming out. It's
Honestly,
Switch
if Mass
exclusive.
Effect Andromeda came out on the Switch, I
I'd
would
play it.
probably play it there.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that we see unique things because the ports I just don't care about. I have my PS4, I have an Xbox One, I have a PC. Like I'm gonna play those games where they're gonna look and play the best. And on Switch, that's not gonna
Never
be the
gonna
case.
happen, yeah.
It's gonna like even if the game manages to like look somewhat okay, I guarantee the performance is gonna be terrible.
So
like
the
you've seen that
interest-
with all the ports so far.
Yeah, and the interesting thing with
And
the
the
Switch is
first-party
that
games.
like I
Yeah.
didn't go into the Switch buying it as a console because I just as a console it is lackluster in most ways.
Oh, yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
it's not a great console. But if you look at it as a handheld plus, as like, hey, this is the heir to the
This is a
3DS,
big
not the
fucking
heir to the
handheld.
Wii U. Yeah, exactly.
Which actually feels really good.
It feels
Yeah.
great, and like I played way more Zelda on the handheld than I thought.
I played
would.
95% handheld
And it
because
was
I couldn't
great.
stand with the, I couldn't
like
stand the frame rate.
graphics were great, and
Yeah.
the screen vibrancy was awesome, and like I
The
just used
screen
noise
is
canceling
amazing.
headphones,
Yeah,
and it
the
was
screen's
great.
Could you ever predict that Nintendo would make a handheld with a great screen?
And
That
I'm
has
like, dude,
never
like
happened.
Not
I
up to their
basically
track
paid.
record.
I basically paid for an iPad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like with no
I didn't
functionality
want an
besides games,
iPad.
and I was like, but it's great, and I'm like, I'm surprised by how much I actually enjoy the gimmick, so to speak, quote unquote,
Yeah.
and how much that is a selling point for me. So if you told me I could play AAA titles on a handheld, I'd be like, fuck yeah, sign me
Yeah.
up. Sorry, we're not supposed to curse.
No,
Okay,
we can
alright.
fucking curse as much
Too
as we want.
late,
All right, cool.
fucker.
Dude, we've been cursing for like an hour and 40 minutes.
Have we? Oh
already,
yeah, we said
so-
shit. Yeah, that's right. So the shit turds. How could I forget?
Yeah.
The fact that it's like got that handheld plus feature to it, and you can kind of take it wherever you go. You can take your main titles wherever you go. Has been something that like every person would love since high school. I would
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
So-
And that's Nintendo's strength.
Yep.
The Game Boy Advance,
The gimmicks.
the DS. Well, that
that's
too.
true, that's true.
No, that's not their strength. That's what they always
That's actually their
think their
thing,
strength
yeah.
is, though. But I mean, Game Boy Advance has so many awesome Castlevania games.
Apparently,
Zelda.
the Game Boy Micro is still a hot thing. Like people
Really?
love the Game Boy Micro now.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's so portable.
Maybe
I
they'll
mean,
switch
like,
over to the 2DS
I mean,
now.
Yeah.
I actually kind of was thinking. I don't think I have a Game Boy Micro anymore, but I wouldn't
I
mind
used to have
having one
one.
again. Like
Yeah.
it is really awesome that you can play all these games on something that's like this big.
Yeah, and it's a strange psychological phenomenon that I refuse. Like I bought Final Fantasy IX for my phone. I just cannot play anything on my phone.
I
I
can't
hate
either.
it, dude.
I have that.
I hate it.
I hate
There's
touchscreen
still
controls.
a legitimate place in the world for a handheld with tactile feedback
That's
controllers.
never gonna go away, in
And
my
like,
opinion.
yeah, and like I can't get into it on my phone
It's
the
not
same
going
way
to be
I do
as
on a
huge as it
handheld.
used to be.
Yeah.
But I think there's still a lot of money to be made there.
Yep, absolutely, and enough to like make it Nintendo's quote unquote thing because no one else is really doing it. And the Vita's okay, but it's not really the same.
Vita's fucking awesome. You can get. you know
Vita's
what?
great.
That's it. You're out. The podcast is over.
You're wrong,
You're done.
Musto.
You're done.
You've done wronged us.
It's no Game Gear, but I guess.
No 3DO.
Yeah, I love the Vita. I mean, actually, I was playing the Switch for a while, and then I was remote playing Persona on the Vita.
Okay.
And like, it just kind of made me realize how much I love that.
Yeah,
I actually
really?
think the Switch is a little too big.
I like.
Oh, really?
So I
Okay.
think they're both kind of perfect in their own right.
Yeah.
Like the Switch is a great large handheld that just feels great. Your hands don't really cramp up.
My hands do.
Your hands don't
but
fall
I think I
asleep.
have like
Well,
I
you
have
baby
tiny
hands.
girl hands.
Yeah, you have
Okay,
baby hands.
all right. Yeah,
but then
that's
the Vita is so like you switch from the Switch down to the Vita, and it's so light.
Yeah, it's
It's
so
like a piece of
compact.
paper.
It is,
Oh,
yeah.
it floats.
Yeah, you
It
throw it
does.
in the
And
air,
they
you
both
drop it
feel
on the
great.
ground, you kick it. It's great.
Yeah, and
I
it's
love
totally
kick
fine.
art.
It's
Yeah,
totally
great to
durable and
kick.
fine. Oh my god, if I ever dropped my Switch, I think I would have a fucking heart attack.
Yeah, the Switch
'Cause
feels
I
like
know-
it's
Oh, yeah.
I know that the
nitroglycerin.
Switch will like explode when
Yeah.
it
Or
hits
your
the ground.
floor
Oh,
is
yeah.
gonna break.
It's gone. Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll just turn to dust as soon as it hits the ground. Yeah.
I dropped my first Vita directly in the toilet.
He did, yeah.
Your first Vita.
Yeah, my
How's
first
the
Vita.
second one doing?
Second one's fine.
Still toilet free.
Yeah. No shit turds in that Vita. But just think about it. If Nintendo pulls together a handheld lineup for this thing,
Oh, yeah.
even if it's what they
Ooh,
had
baby.
for the 3DS,
If they were like, hey man,
I'm
we're gonna
so
take
in.
all of our big ones, the Fire Emblem series, the reboots of like all
Okay,
the
no,
N64
let's take
games.
a,
Fire
let me
Emblem,
ask
yeah.
you this
Yeah.
question real quick because I've seen kind of a good amount of discord on this. You know the next Fire Emblem game is coming out on 3DS.
3X, yeah.
Not
Which
on
is
Switch.
Mind-boggling to me.
I
Mind-boggling
find that so
Your mind is
crazy.
boggling.
Like I don't think it's a problem that they released the game on the 3DS. It's just it should also be
How do
coming
you
to the
not
Switch.
have it? Yeah, how do you not
I
make
have
that a
no
release
idea
title?
how that's
and that's
not
like,
coming to the
and
Switch.
again, as Sean would say in like our talks when we chat about games, like
Oh, you guys talk?
Nintendo's. I have I met you? We
we?
met, right? Sean.
Are you Mustard?
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
the
the
mustard.
Infamous mustard over here.
Sean, like Nintendo's strength is its IP. Like that is its
yeah.
core strength, and like the fact that they're not using that and pimping it out as much as they can across their main title, their main platform, it blows my mind.
Yeah.
I think that at E3 we gotta get another big game that's coming out this year.
Metroid. It's got to be Metroid.
I mean, it doesn't have to be Metroid necessarily. I want
Metroid.
Metroid to be great, and I
Make
want
it-
that to come out whenever it needs to come out.
Hashtag make it Metroid.
But I think I don't know. I would like
Make Metroid
another
great
game.
again.
Here's the thing.
Munga.
Are you guys excited for Splatoon or ARMS at all?
I am so tired of seeing ARMS, honestly.
Yeah, ARMS in no way, shape, or form called to me.
Yeah.
Splatoon I never played once, so
Yeah. Splatoon, I'm
Splatoon
more
will
interested
be
in.
cool.
I think Splatoon will be fun to do multiplayer.
I
but
think it's an
I just
interesting
don't-
concept.
Ugh.
But, yeah.
I don't know if I want to pay $60 for that game.
No,
I would
and
rather
that's
play
the thing.
another
Like, dude,
shooter.
the fact that 1-2 Switch was a $60 game, I was like, "Are you kidding? This should have been a
$50.
launch title.
$50.
Whatever.
Still too
Anything
much.
over
Anything
a launch title
at
that you
all.
got with the system was
Yeah.
ridiculous to me.
I agree. I think that should have been a pack-in.
Yeah.
I'll
Like,
bet you they
here's
sold
your Wii
500,000 of
Sports
those.
That's the problem.
Fair.
They made a shit ton of money
yeah,
off
I'll
that
bet you
game.
they sold
Off
so
of
many.
1-2 Switch.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Because
that
so many
game's-
people bought it because it wasn't horrible,
and because there was
there at
only
launch.
8
Yeah.
games to buy on the day the system came out.
I have mixed feelings too about a system that doesn't have a ton of, we'll call it noise, and like has very few titles. I think that's not a bad thing because it brings
No,
me back
it's
to
true.
a time where I don't know what I want to play. Like I know what I want to play. There's 5 games for the system,
Yeah.
and like I'm okay with that for Switch because again, I don't think Switch is ever going to be a primary console for anyone ever.
No.
And if it is, I think
Reddit will argue with you. Reddit
Really?
will,
I was gonna say,
Nintendo
man.
Switch subreddit will.
I
fucking
can't.
put a stake through your
I
heart.
will. And
on
I know
that.
Nintendo
You vampire.
fanboys and girls will probably shoot me down for this, but like I am a core gamer myself, and I love games. I play them for PC, console, whatever.
Yeah.
The Switch will never be a main console for me. It will always be a secondary console because it is so it's so laden with gimmicks and so laden with like the console itself is not the main focus, and it's outperformed by every other console that's
Yeah.
available by far, by leaps and bounds. Like it's almost like the Wii U is a competing console with that.
Yeah.
And it's just a
You're talking about in terms of power? Or?
power, like
Yeah.
just sheer horsepower and the gameplay from controller to screen.
I mean, it's also sales right now. I mean, you released a new console, like over halfway through the lifetime of the other consoles, right? So
Right.
you have this install base.
That
I think
doesn't even compete with them.
PS4 I think is at like 60 million consoles
Yeah.
already, which is
Jeez.
crazy. PS3 only sold around 80 some.
And I don't think-
And now you have the Switch. Like, okay,
They're
so,
gunning for
well,
what?
they have
13 million this year?
10 million, I think.
10?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
somewhere around there.
I don't think it's going to hit that in 1 year.
I think it
and
will.
I don't think even Nintendo would argue that they want to be a primary console at that.
This is obviously
And
a
that marketing
strategy.
pitch.
But
Yeah,
what I'm
their
saying,
strategy
is,
is
what
to
I'm
come out
saying
as the
is you're
se-
not
as the
going to
third
get the
console.
support that you want to happen naturally and organically because people know that if they put their game on PS4, they're going to make money. Whereas, I mean, I think on Switch you're going to make money right now, but like,
But will it be worth the effort of porting to this completely different architecture?
yeah, exactly. It's a lot of
Completely
work.
different set of specs.
And people
I
will argue and
think-
they'll be like, "Oh no, it Unreal works on Switch, so you can just port it really easily."
Sure.
I think that there's more. it's not that easy because Snake Pass came out on Switch, but it is so poorly optimized.
Yep.
The game is like running at like 360p. It's like ridiculous.
And running an engine is not equivalent to building a game like Horizon in that engine.
yeah, or
Correct.
a unique game. Like say you make your game and you're not on Unreal, and
Yeah.
like putting it
Yeah.
on Switch is going to take a lot of work because it is it is a completely different architecture because you have an integrated chipset where you have the integrated CPU and GPU all together.
But if you told me that like Nintendo's marketing plan was we're going to release a Switch and we're going to give you 2 to 4 nostalgic home run titles a year, I'd be like, fucking A, sign me up
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
And
As
I'm
long as
okay with
they're
that. Like, I don't
paced
need,
out
like,
well.
because they have
that's
a
where we're
lot
at
of
right
good
now.
sleeper hits, like Xenoblade, they have Dragon Quest Heroes, they have, like, a lot of, like, cool
Dragon Quest
sleeper-
Heroes is on PlayStation 4. Though.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And it
They-
looks
they
better.
Yeah, exactly, of course. But I'm saying, like, they have a lot of good sleeper hits that they could be like, these are our IP, and,
Yeah.
like, this is what we do. I'm fine with that because, again, I didn't buy that with a primary console in mind. Like, that's not going to be the thing that I'm, like, shopping around for daily. That is the... Give me a home run nostalgic title like a Metroid or a Castlevania, and I'll
Okay,
I'll buy
what do
it.
you want from E3 then? What do you want them to show?
I
you?
would love again. Keep in line with my expectations. Give me one of those home run nostalgia titles, a Metroid, a Castlevania. Give me something to sink my teeth into.
You think you think there's any chance we could get a Castlevania with Konami being the way they are?
I don't.
Yeah,
I mean, it's weird
I
because
don't think either
they
of those
released
will happen.
Bomberman.
So interesting.
maybe-
Was Lords of Shadow done by Konami? I thought that was
Yes.
independent. Oh,
No,
really?
That was Konami and Kojima.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Kojima was, but I thought Konami was not
No,
as
that's
involved
them.
in that one. Okay, all right. Yeah, then maybe not. But
I mean,
Metroid is still available.
I think
on the Snake.
I think Bomberman kind of surprised me. I was not expecting to see an actual like console game from Konami ever after the fucking
Oh,
shit
interesting,
show
yeah.
that has been
That is
what
true.
happened with
Well,
They
Kojima
swore
Studios.
consoles off.
But I don't know. Like maybe that means there's hope.
But
Maybe that
did Kojima walk with the Castlevania IP as well? I know Metal
no,
Gear.
No,
was
no,
kind of
no
way.
like
way.
that.
He doesn't have the
He doesn't have Metal Gear either.
Oh, really? I
Yeah,
thought he
they're
walked and was
making
like,
an
we're not making
online
this
Metal Gear
anymore.
game.
Oh, I know the zombie one,
Yeah.
the survival
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Holy
Yep.
shit! And we're like, hey, this is life without Kojima now. This
Yeah.
is what we deal with.
Yeah.
Great. Like,
This is our
Exactly.
future.
Life without Kojima
We're getting
sucks.
survival-based Metal Gear games.
Get used to it.
In an alternate dead reality. Post-apocalyptic world. Jesus.
So on top
crazy.
of the new experiences, one thing that I want out of the Switch that seems kind of inevitable is I want it to become the greatest hits Nintendo platform.
Yes. Where's
Yeah,
Virtual
fucking A.
Console? I forgot about that.
Especially
We need
GameCube,
Virtual
like-
Console. If they get GameCube,
They can do
Virtual
GameCube
Console
now. They
with
can go back
trophies,
to Super Nintendo.
trophies
I
that
will-
tie into PlayStation Network account.
All right.
Dude,
While that would be something, I
will
don't think
tell
that's
you,
happening.
With my PlayStation Network, I just have one points thing where I can platinum out, be on the platinum track.
We'll just use credits for everything. No money anymore.
I'll tell you what I did the other night. I was hanging out in bed right before I fell asleep, and instead of reading, I usually
You were in
play
bed
the
As
before you
Switch.
usual.
fell asleep.
As
I was in
usual.
bed before I fell asleep.
Hanging
Usually I
out in
fall asleep
bed.
outside of bed,
Right before
pass
I
out on
fall
the floor.
asleep.
But I had my Switch in my hands, and I was like, you know what? Let me see what's in the store. And I'm like buying up all these old Zelda games, Nintendo Zelda games. And
Wait, what?
Well, they don't have them, and I was like,
Oh,
"What the
okay.
fuck?" So I
was
ended
gonna
up
say,
going on my
wait a
3DS.
second.
and
Like, how'd you buy those?
So I put down the Switch, and I ended up getting my 3DS, and they have them. And
Yep.
I was like, "Well,
Yep.
hell, all right." Like, they start doing that with the Switch because I looked at the Switch first, and I was like, "Let me buy up some old school Nintendo."
The thing
games.
they
Let me
need to
buy
do
up
with
some
the
old school
Switch is they
SNES
need to
games."
put all those games out at once. They need
Yep.
to stop fucking trickling them out every system that
Yep.
comes out.
Pimp your IP. Just get on board, Nintendo. Just
Launch
embrace
all
who
of
you
those,
are.
Put all those games on there, and we will buy them.
Yes.
You know, like-
shamelessly. Like I will give,
I want-
just give.
yeah,
I'll give you
I
my
want
money
Game Boy-
again
Yeah,
and
yeah.
again
Game
for the
Boy,
same
Game Boy
title.
Color.
Every
Game Boy
Game Boy
Advance.
Advance Castlevania
Give me
game,
Link to the
I'll buy it
Past. Give
so
me
fast.
Symphony of the Night if you can get it.
Metroid Zero Mission.
Yeah, exactly.
Symphony of the Night. Yeah, that'd
Yeah,
be
that's
kind of
a
a tough
PlayStation
game.
game.
That's a
dude.
tough
That's-
guess, but
that's
it's like
tough.
I'm hoping Konami can weigh in here and
Yeah,
help out.
Yeah, Konami,
Hey,
right
right
on.
in.
You're giving us a
Let Musto know.
post-apocalyptic survival Metal Gear. Can you get me Symphony of the Night for Switch, please?
We'll pass your message on to Musto.
Yeah.
So the Switch was the first place I looked for that stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay, not
Naturally.
yet. I hope it's
But
soon.
you can get
It has
like
to be.
you can get Metal Slug 3 and
Yes.
Turf Masters
They
Golf.
have the
which
Neo
actually,
Geo shit.
Turf Masters Golf is fucking awesome.
And
by
so
the way.
is Metal Slug, honestly.
Yeah, but
Metal
it-
Slug games are super
Yeah,
fun.
but the
But
for me, the
those are
emulator
Neo
that
Geo,
they're
right?
using for the Neo Geo on the Switch or whatever, it's like
it's the Neo Geo version.
yeah, it's the
Yeah.
Neo Geo version. The frame rate is terrible. I was
Yeah.
playing it
Oh,
and I was
really?
like, oh god, this frame rate.
Maybe
Maybe there's
that's-
a way to
maybe
unlock
it's-
it, and I didn't see it.
Yeah,
on
it's
there.
probably emulating like the original experience.
Yeah, the frame rate is just like abysmal.
Or more
Yeah.
clearly, it's probably just too powerful a game for the Switch.
Well, did you have it in the dock?
Neo Geo game
It's
is too
just like
powerful.
they- yeah,
Fuck, it
can't-
drained my
it doesn't
battery in
work.
30 minutes, man.
Yeah.
Turf Masters over
Worse
there.
than Zelda.
Mario Tennis just drained him a battery.
Oh, Mario Tennis would be fun. Honestly,
Oh, yeah, old
I want
school.
Mario Golf. Because
Yes.
Hot Shots Golf is taking a weird turn. I saw the latest Hot Shots Golf trailer. I don't know if you've ever played any of those games,
No, I
Musto.
played Mario Golf, but
But yeah, like I would love a Mario Golf game.
yeah,
That would
the
be
old
fun.
Any
school
kind of
Nintendo
golf.
sports and the Mario sports games were
Because
awesome.
that's what
Yeah.
we're talking about.
Yeah.
We're like, that's the fun version of
Yep.
the sport, you know?
Mario Party, even a Mario Party, like a
Ooh, I
good
forgot about Mario Party.
like would be super cool.
They
to
haven't
have.
really made a good Mario Party in a
Not
while.
in a long
though.
time.
Ever,
Like, it's
actually.
beautiful.
You think ever? No,
Yeah,
dude.
honestly,
I remember playing some Mario Party games on GameCube that were really fun.
they were fun for like one go through. It's kind of like Monopoly. The first time you play it, it's like, oh, this is novel. This is cool. We have real money. Oh my god! And then you play it again, and you're like, stop stealing my fucking stars. How am I ever supposed to win?
It destroys relationships.
Yeah.
That game was built to destroy relationships.
It's just like Mario Kart, except more random.
Yeah.
That's
And-
true.
And you have no chance of actually winning if you're good.
Yep. And
That's
then
true.
you have
But
have
you can win the
partner
mini
games.
games. You can be good at the mini games, which is fun about
The
it.
mini
Yeah.
yeah, the mini
Yeah,
game.
like-
Oh, and then have the partner
That's the
mini games
skill
where if
part.
it was you and someone who had a lot of stars, you would purposely tank the game to lose it and just try and sandbag them. Like, oh yeah, this just was a total troll game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they figure out some ways to kind of like make it a little more balanced, a
Hey,
little
if
more
they
competitive.
if they give us Virtual Console with a nice offering of basically any
All right.
of their consoles, I would be happy walking away from E3.
When do you
Absolutely.
think? Okay, let's say they announce Virtual Console at E3. When do you think it actually
Q1
launches?
2018.
I would say August.
Oof. I would. I'm gonna say fall. I'm gonna say fall this year.
I'd say like early fall to get out in front of Mario and all their big ticket items.
Yeah, dude, if it's next year, I'm gonna go fucking nuts. Like that means like a whole year of having the Switch for like, not no reason, but like
yeah, honestly,
We all knew it was going to be a $460 Zelda game. Like,
One,
we knew this going into
Two, having it sitting there is not taking away from the awesome games on PS4,
I
which are
know,
sitting right
yeah,
next to
like,
it. But
again-
there's that psychological thing where you're like, oh, why do I have this?
I'm not looking
But I
to
actually have this
thing
problem.
for-
I have this problem with my Switch where it keeps fucking messing with my TV. Even
Yeah.
though I turned that off,
I just
it's
have
still-
to unplug the HDMI.
It's still messing with my TV, and like it'll just change the resolution. Like my PS4 Pro is like outputting like 4K, and then the Switch is like sending a 1080p signal to my TV, and then
Yeah.
it confuses it, and then it just goes
I don't know
white.
why it does that. Every once in a
so
while,
annoying.
it just sends a signal. It's like, hey, I'm here.
So actually, like I don't even have my Switch out because it's just fucking with my TV.
So your
like,
Switch
not
has a
only can I
poltergeist
not
and
play it, it's
basically-
just fucking with my other game experiences.
Have you
right
had
now.
a priest come in and just make sure it's not a poltergeist?
I
or any
should,
type of
actually,
Douse it in
yeah.
holy
That's
water.
that's never happened to me. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I hope it comes out this year. If you know, if they're gonna announce it, show it. Dude, what if they didn't show Virtual Console at E3? I think people would go nuts.
I don't know if are
have
they
to.
teasing that that's going to be a thing. Like
They
I
said they'll
didn't get
talk
into
about
that.
it later this year.
Okay, later this year. Okay.
This
then
is-
I-
this is
that
now
means
later.
the
This
forum.
is
Now
later,
later.
yeah.
But we all know Nintendo's want to do their own thing.
So I mean,
I mean, if
this
they don't
one-
have a conference, where do they talk about it, though?
at the
Nintendo,
Nintendo Direct.
Direct. Yeah,
Is that
gonna be
so? That's
happening-
during E3.
It's gonna be happening during
Okay.
E3.
They make their own painfully awkward conferences
Yeah,
for this
yeah.
type of thing, Sean.
So
That's true.
another thing we might be talking about this actually next week because the rumor mill has been kicking up that we might get the next Pokemon game announced this week because apparently history has shown that it's always around this time that they announce the new Pokemon game.
New
because they
or
don't show it at
combined?
E3. Like
Yeah.
stars.
Are we
Like
looking
Pokemon
at-
stars.
Well, who cares?
Whatever. Well, who cares? It will be on Switch.
are they going to
That is good, a big deal to me because I didn't play the last one, and it like imagine that game on an actual like 720p resolution, like how cool that could look.
Right,
Like,
it's going to have a Greek letter, a precious stone, and then a semi-precious stone. So it'll be like Omega Sapphire Tourmaline and Omega Ruby Amethyst.
Well, will they put it on Switch though? I don't think they have a history of
If they
putting
don't-
their combined game on a new console. They always
no Game Boy Color. Remember Pokemon Yellow? That was on Game Boy Color when the first two were just regular Game Boy.
That was like Pokemon
Were
1A though.
What's
That was like red, blue, and then like
Yellow.
alpha. Yeah, but that was like the same game though.
no, but that's what they all are.
Okay,
They all are
okay.
usually
Yeah.
like a combined,
So that
like,
is-
better version.
they did do it then, but have they done it since?
I don't think so.
I don't think they've done it since, but I mean, I think that's been the rumor, right? Is that like Pokemon Stars is gonna be on Switch?
But it's I
Alright,
feel
no,
like it's one of
tell-
those rumors that has no foundation. It's just people want it, so it's a rumor.
And
Maybe
does,
so.
does anyone actually look forward to a new Pokemon game anymore? 'Cause
Oh,
I
yeah.
haven't. No. I'm saying like,
I'm looking forward
in
to-
in this room.
You know what I'm looking
I love
forward to?
Pokemon.
I'm
Are
looking
you-
forward
really?
to the
Yeah.
one that's developed exclusively for Switch, like
Okay.
a Zelda Breath of the Wild level graphics Pokemon.
Okay. So,
That is
'cause
what
I
I
the
feel like-
latest one was awesome.
I feel like the most. So I picked up. I picked up. What was the
Moon.
X and Y.
X and Y, yeah.
I know,
So
I did
picked up
too.
Y.
I played it for like 50 hours and I just stopped. And I was like,
and it went the same way that Niantic's Pokemon Go went, and I was like, oh, this is awesome, I love it. And then I'm like, I'm rollerblading through town, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
And I was just like
Gotta get
kind
on
of
the
over
bike,
it,
man.
and I'm like, man, maybe the sun has set on Pokemon in my life.
That's what I'm actually,
because I don't care about any of the Pokemon anymore.
It has to
Like,
change
I don't
more.
know any of the Pokemon.
You know how they
affiliation
get us
with it.
back? They get us back the same way Pokemon Go did this. And I've heard rumors about this, that potentially like the next mainline Pokemon games will be Red and Blue 2.
Oh, okay.
Could you imagine
the
if they
original
went-
151
And it's like Kanto region and like updated Switch graphics.
is
like,
missing
that would
an
be...
actual Pokemon in this one because I would love that.
Oh, he could be.
Embrace it.
Yeah, I if they would do something like that, that would get me back in a heartbeat.
Oh, absolutely.
But I don't know if they need to get us back.
And
That's
dude,
the problem.
Pokemon Red, I dumped endless hours into in high school.
Well, the
And-
thing is, we had endless hours back then.
I don't
that's it.
think that'll.
A
I don't think
simple
that's
time,
the
Taco
answer
Bell.
though, because
That's the answer for me, because
They've
if they
had the
just make
same
another
formula over
Pokemon
and over
game
and
with
over again.
weird
Yeah.
Pokemon, like new ones that I don't care about, I might
would-
not buy it.
So I have a hunch.
Like I didn't buy Sun and Moon, and I didn't really play through X and Y, and I didn't play the ones that came before that.
I think they just need
Black
more
and White.
change
I
to the formula.
skipped
So-
Black and White and Black and White 2.
I have a great question
Black
because
and
I
White too,
pondered
right?
this. I pondered this a lot with Pokemon. Like, what would be the system in Pokemon that would get you back into the game if there is one?
I'm in it.
Are you?
Yeah,
oh, yeah,
I'm
Sean's
still
in.
in.
All right.
Sean's still in. So
Sean's a
Yeah,
fanboy.
I'm
all right.
still in it.
yeah,
That's fair.
Exactly.
So
His
I was
opinion's
thinking-
invalid.
I think they need to overhaul the combat system, just like complete redo.
Yep, I can see that. I think that the progression system is lacking in that game. For me to like, as now a kind of like someone who has invested a lot of times into games that have like immense stories and really deep character progression, there's like kind of that shallowness still there.
Oh yeah, I mean the story for sure is just incredibly shallow in Pokemon
super
games.
shallow, and like but that's not what they're going for. And I
But
get
the worlds are so interesting. I feel like there is so much potential to
I
tell
would-
a like really cool story in
I
that
would
world.
love to see a Pokemon breeder type thing in that game of like somewhere you can like you actually can raise like you could potentially breed and get like a rare Pokemon, much like Chocobo racing back in Final Fantasy VII or Monster Rancher.
Well,
There's a game called Monster
there
Rancher.
is breeding in all the Pokemon games usually.
Really?
Yeah.
No, but not like
you
but not
leave
like,
two Pokemon at a daycare center and they make an egg. And then you
yeah.
hatch that egg, and then you have like a Pokemon that inherits the stats of those parents and stuff. But it's like
But it's not like super in depth from a.
It's not.
It's more in depth.
Is it?
Yeah, because IVs and EVs. So
yeah, I know,
The-
I know.
the
This is
complete-
like the next level. This is like the hidden level of depth of Pokemon. Which
yeah, the complete lower level of Pokemon.
You
is
know about
that
this, right?
Every
No.
single a Pokemon,
Oh, boy.
a Pokemon that you think is identical, like two EVs,
Uh-huh.
are completely different stats wise.
Yeah.
They
I know
have
that.
they have inherent stats.
Sure.
So they have IVs, and then the way that you train them actually changes the way that they grow.
Yeah, so basically, if you fight like 100
What?
Pidgeys, that raises
That'll
an
raise speed.
individual stat. That,
No.
like, yeah.
Wait, is this all the
and
way
it's
back to
all
Red and
hidden.
Blue?
All the way back.
And
Bullshit.
it's totally
All the way back.
hidden. I don't even know how you view the stats. You don't. You
can't.
don't, right?
So usually
You
in the
just-
games-
It's basically you have to
Wow.
just track it yourself.
very obvious.
This is totally changing my
Yeah.
my
Yeah,
entire
There's-
That's
hours.
why I
There's,
still
there's,
like it.
there's
Dozens
an
and
insane
dozens of
depth to
hours.
Pokemon, even in the original games, that like most people just don't know.
Yeah.
about.
So
So
this
the
is
different
like
things
the
you
Dark
train
Souls.
on will and change these stats you cannot view.
So you fight
So how do you know?
Geodudes for defense. Usually there's someone in the game, there's a character that you go to who will say some really cryptic thing, and then you know, okay, I've maxed out defense. Now I'm going to move on to speed. Because
Wow.
every Pokemon
And
has
every
like a pair
Pokemon-
of things that are
and they can only
really
get
good
so
for that
many
Pokemon.
EVs. So you focus on maxing out these two stats for that Pokemon, and then your EVs are
Yeah.
filled up.
So
and then
you're
that's
telling me
done.
I could've,
So that
like-
means you have a really fast Pidgey. You know,
in
with
high school,
really
we used to
high
have
defense.
like Pokemon tournaments.
You
With, like
could've
Charizard.
wiped
I could have
the
wiped the floor
floor.
if I had known
Yeah.
this. Like,
Yeah.
Yep.
Because most of
hidden
the time,
attribute.
most of the
Special
time-
attack speed on Charizard, you would have been like,
Yeah, because you,
Well,
need to
I
focus on that
ran a
because
dragon.
that's their
I ran like a
specialties, yeah.
dragon loadout, but
Dragon
wow.
loadout.
Dragon loadout. Yeah. And then obviously Venusaur because Bulbasaur is my favorite.
you
but-
should look
Oh,
into
yeah.
it. And then it's very arduous. It's just like the slowest thing in the world. Because
Yeah,
you
it's grinding.
you literally
boring
have
as
to fight
fuck.
Yeah.
200 Pidgeys and then 200 Geodudes just to train this Pokemon, and then you have to level it up.
Wow.
And get the right moves and everything.
That's
and
crazy,
breeding them,
man.
you could have 100 eggs, and only one of them has anything near perfect stats.
Yeah, so from the breeding element, like there was obviously that like I leave them at a daycare, but it wasn't interactive in any
Yeah.
way. It was
No,
very
it's not the
like
core
set
of
and
it.
forget, like kind of boring.
It's
Like,
random too, like what it's going to inherit. So it's like you
Yeah.
have to try over and over again sometimes to get the right thing, and that kind of sucks. I don't like RNG
like,
elements like that sometimes.
yeah, and like the RNG, like I get RNG though because it kind of makes it more I don't want to say realistic, but like more immersive in a way of like, oh, I didn't get the thing this time, so I'm going to try it again kind of deal. And like, not just like I do all these formulaic things and I get the guaranteed result. That kind of like also is stale, I guess. But
yeah, but that's how the world works.
not always.
Like-
not with breeding. You know, like you
That's
can
true,
do, you know what I mean? Genetics.
Will it
be a human?
Let's play a game. Will it be human?
Or will it be a Diglett?
Well, thanks for teaching me. Today I learned something, man. Like I've totally
I guarantee if you go back to Pokemon and you either try and get all 151 or whatever number the game has, or you do EV/IV training, it'll be a whole new game.
Holy shit. Yeah, and I guess this goes back to like internet, like using the internet to like research games was
Which
not
we didn't
really a
have back
thing.
then.
And
Yeah.
I don't want to say I did, but
I mean, but
it
barely,
wasn't like
right?
I
We had
was-
dial-up.
Musto had this
not
plan,
during
apparently.
not during my 8th and 9th grade, like
Yeah.
1997 and 8.
scientist?
But no, I was not a scientist.
researcher?
I was not a
Is that
researcher.
CERN?
But like game research is like much easier. And like I kind of drifted away from Pokemon after Red and Blue, and then I never really got back into it, so I never knew about this, man.
Yeah.
Like, this, I learned something completely new.
And it's one of those things,
Well,
like, my childhood
thanks.
went by without knowing this, and then one day I learned it, and I was like,
What? Yeah. Wow. Holy
Well,
hell.
school session's out for today, boys. You know,
Nice.
we taught you something new.
Dear diary, today I learned something.
there you go. So that was mostly about Pokemon, but
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
what we want out of
I
the
think the
Switch.
general gist is like we want to see the cool new games that like they should be working on.
Yeah.
We want to see the Nintendo IPs.
do
And
what
we-
Sony did. Focus on the games.
Yeah,
That's all that matters.
Show us the games and show us the Virtual Console, because the Virtual Console I'm going to sink so much money into. Like if
Oh,
the
yeah,
Switch
he
is
will.
my go-to, like for if it, like you were saying, greatest hits of every single Nintendo game possible.
Yeah.
Like that's it. Like
Don't try to reinvent them. Just embrace what they are and give them to me again.
Yeah,
Like because
yeah,
they
yeah.
tried to do that thing where there was like the Mario thing, but it was all time-based trials and stuff of Mario levels.
are
and I
you
was
talking
like,
about like the NES remix games?
Yeah, the remix ones.
Those
And I was
were
like,
cool, though,
no,
but I mean, like-
I just wanted the actual games. I was
Yeah.
like, give me the actual games.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's it for the main discussion of the week. We got to come up with a better like tagline for that.
The main
time for
discussion
that.
of the week.
Yeah, I mean, we could do a real quick. Let's do a real quick reader mail segment.
Okay.
Reader mail.
Get the fuck off the tracks.
Production values through the roof on this.
No, right?
So, today, Musto,
Hi.
your wife wrote into us.
No.
Yeah,
What?
she did. You
Behind your back.
gave us the question. Remember?
Oh, in front of your back.
She's doing-
Wait, can you be in
She
front
was
of a
somewhere
back?
near your back.
She did honor
I'm in
around
front of
my
his
back.
back.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So why don't you
Are you
do
behind
the
his
honors
back?
and
Oh,
ask the question?
I'll happily read this. And I had a good discussion with her, and she's actually playing a game.
Following your
like
advice
this.
right now.
Well,
Okay,
not
well,
my
let's hear
advice,
that. You
but-
can start it off for us.
So, as someone, this is her speaking, as someone with little gaming ability, I love story-driven, choose-your-own-adventure games like anything from Telltale series. I've gone through every Telltale game, so I was wondering if you nerds, thank you,
oh, fuck.
could
Thanks.
rank your top story-driven games that aren't from Telltale.
Okay.
And that taking away Telltale, honestly, it makes it
It's like,
tough.
can you name any games that aren't
well,
Telltale games?
Let me go.
You had a really good one.
yeah,
earlier when we
you
discussed
fire up
this.
yours real quick. I'm gonna
So-
go look at my game library over here.
I think, and this is actually what she's playing right now. She dove into Until Dawn, which I think is
Amazing game.
Yeah, and I've never played it. I didn't know much
Oh,
about
you still
it.
haven't played it?
I've never played it. Yeah,
Ooh.
so that's why like
You guys
we're
should
kind
play
of
it
gonna
together.
experience this together.
Yeah.
But she kind of fired it up, and she does not like horror though, which is the
Yeah.
big kind of caveat to this. And it'll be interesting to see how little sleep she gets from this game. So I might be signing myself up for
intense.
some long nights.
It's definitely intense.
Yeah, it seems so. From the first minute, like when you have the friend and you have to like choose to drop or not. Sorry if I'm ruining this for anyone, but there's like it seems like the first minute
No
is
big
like
deal.
kind of a big yeah.
Yeah. But then you also mentioned all the Quantic Dream games.
Quantic Dream games,
that's what I
yeah.
was
So,
gonna say.
Yeah,
so
so
Quantic
Heavy
Dream,
Rain.
so Heavy Rain,
Beyond Two Souls.
Beyond Two Souls,
Indigo Prophecy back in the day.
Yeah,
So
that's
I-
the game I literally just pulled off the shelf. Was Indigo Prophecy.
Yeah,
We're
right.
talking
So
about
I've
Quantic
never
Dream
even
stuff.
heard of or played that one. And I think Quantic Dream's coming out with a new one, Detroit
Yeah.
to Human,
Yeah.
or which looks freaking awesome. I don't know if there's a release date on that yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are like a couple
I
of
don't know.
games that I like.
I don't know why I said that. I was just reacting.
He's like, yeah.
All right, Brad, is Brad going to say anything?
What
Or
is
is
it?
he just going to say yeah
Tell
when I
us.
hang? Or?
You have to break some news.
It is getting so hot.
I know,
in
my
here.
brain
I'm
is
just, like,
cooking.
dripping.
I'm
I'm
cooking.
dripping
Sweating
sweat.
profusely.
And my brain is just interacting with
Chill
whatever
out.
you're saying. It doesn't actually have anything to say.
Yeah.
It's just doing
Yeah.
it. And what I should follow that up with is there is no release date for that, but I think that's one of the things we're hoping to get from E3 this year.
Yeah, that would be awesome. So yeah, those are like the Quantic or the was it Quantic Dream?
Yeah,
Quantic Dream. Any those titles are typically the go-tos. I don't even know if there are ones beyond that are like
actually,
that have
a couple,
no actual hardcore gaming element to it.
Well, I have a couple that I thought of. I mean, I just want to bring up real quick because I pulled Quantic Dream Indigo Prophecy for PlayStation 2 off the shelf. It was published by Atari.
Oh, no kidding.
Yep.
It's interesting.
All right.
Anyways, a little fact there for you.
I've got some good ones.
I have two that are like, well, there's a couple. I mean, there's a game called Gone Home. Did you think of that one?
Yep.
Gone Home is like a first-person kind of game where you walk through a house.
Puzzle
and you kind of
based.
A walking
discover,
simulator.
It's not puzzle-y.
It's more just like collecting.
You basically walk through and you read notes and listen to tapes.
It's
and you
honestly
kind of discover the story like
the
that.
easiest thing you'll ever play.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
walk
It's more
through
of
a
an
house,
experience
you're
than-
guided, and then
don't
it kind
read
of
up
ends.
anything on the game before you play it too.
Yeah.
Like just tell Laurie to play it and don't look at anything.
Is it a
'cause
long game or
No, it's like an hour and a half.
Yeah,
Oh, wow,
yeah,
super
yeah.
short.
There's
That whole
another,
genre.
There's another game.
Dear
Walking
Esther-
simulators?
Oh,
Yeah,
Dear Esther.
like,
Nah,
Dear
Dear
Esther's
Esther
cool.
isn't really like that's like almost more
Well,
of an
it's
experience.
story-based.
It's not story based
It
though
is.
because you don't
It
understand
is.
anything that's happening while you're playing it.
Well,
It's
Brad
really
didn't
just an
understand.
experience, I would say. It's like it's meant to be interpreted,
not
whereas like
story-based
Gone
if
Home
you're
is
a
actually
plebeian.
telling you a
Yeah,
story.
but that's
you know?
still. I mean, that's a cool experience.
Eh.
I think someone who's
I
not
just
into
think she's saying
twitchy
story based.
shooters-
I just think that it's not. You're not going to go through it and be like, "Whoa, what's happening?"
That was
like,
compelling.
Yeah, it's not compelling. You just kind of walk through and you experience it.
Okay.
I don't think Gone Home was that.
But Gone Home
compelling
actually
either.
has a story arc that you understand. Like, Dear Esther, it's like, what, I'm walking up to this thing at the end and then I fly away as a bird? What the fuck just
Spoiler
happened? you know?
alerts.
Yeah, what?
Now I'm a
I don't
bird.
even remember that.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Because there's like the story is not a like, it's not
Core
just
element.
it's not like reading a book and like having a story experience. It's just more like kind of thinking about things. It's I don't know. It's really it's
Brad
out
doesn't
there.
like thinking.
Oh,
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
thinking is
We'll have
out.
to we should have prefaced this whole section.
So another game that came out recently, which is interesting, it has a cool story. It's kind of like horror-ish. It's like an indie game called Oxenfree. That would be a good one to check out. It's like a side-scrolling and adventure game where you're basically a bunch of high schoolers who go to this island for it's like a senior ritual, I guess, like that everyone goes to this island and hangs out and sleeps over there for the night or whatever. And like obviously things go kind of wrong.
Yeah.
And then another one that I was just thinking of.
Define side-scrolling adventure game though. Does that require platforming and stuff?
No.
or- 'cause
It's
that's
like
out.
it's literally
Like
just
straight up adventure.
It's literally just
Telltale,
moving
but
around
2D.
to different environments. Yeah,
Cool.
there's no like you can't die.
Along with-
but the other game that came out recently, this one might have platforming in it. I haven't played it. I think I've seen a little platforming. I don't know if it's hard. Is Night in the Woods?
Oh yeah, that's what I was
Oh,
going to
interesting.
mention.
Okay.
Yeah.
It
Horror, obviously, I would think.
Amazing
No, it's
art
not.
style.
It's not
Okay.
horror. Or maybe it has horror.
I think it's
elements,
kind of
but
like a funky, zany, like
basically,
Paranorman style.
It's kind
Okay.
of like. Did you ever watch the show like Richard Scarry's Busy World?
Oh,
back
yeah,
in the day?
yeah, absolutely.
It reminds me of that, where it's like a town
Talking
of people
animals?
that are just animals.
Okay,
yeah. So
yeah,
like
yeah.
you're a cat and you're dropped out of college.
cool cat,
And
though.
you come.
A sweet
you dropped
cool
out
cat.
of college and you come back to town and it's kind of like you dealing.
You're
like,
vomiting on Brad's bed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're vomiting on my bed,
Right.
and you should like. It's kind of like coming to terms with like, just the struggles
Being a
of
cat.
like
Yeah.
being like someone who doesn't really know where they're going with their life.
Yep,
I
yep,
think,
yep.
and like kind of interacting with that like small hometown world
Okay.
of like
So
where
like a
everyone
coming
knows
of age
you
tale
and
for an
you're-
animal,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
struggling
But like
animal
it's a
team.
human, but like everyone's just animals. Like
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it's
like,
very human elements, but
yeah, it's not
animal
like I don't think
characters.
I don't think you're actually like saying I'm a cat in this world. Or I don't
Yep.
know, maybe you are, but I mean it's a human story. Just like they anthropomorphize all the animals.
Yeah,
you know?
okay.
So
She also finished Life is Strange, which was
oh, that's a
Oh,
great
yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah.
awesome.
That's
And
a
it was,
really
and, like,
cool one,
It was
yeah.
one of those things where I was like totally in playing like League or WoW on the computer, and our living room is set up so that the TV is facing across from the computer. So I found myself turning around to look at that game so much because it was so really. It wasn't super challenging from the looks of it, but it was a very super interesting way to tell a story. And you could fail a lot, but it wasn't feels bad fails. You just have like things where you just
do it
change it
again.
and do it differently.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it
exactly.
was
Well, I mean, you could rewind
that's your
anytime you
story
fucked
now.
up, right?
Right,
So
yeah.
that makes it interesting because you get to try those different
Interesting
experiences.
Prince of Persia game over
but there's like
mechanics,
one
yeah.
moment in that game where you can't rewind.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh fuck! And when
Yeah,
you
you're like,
fuck
this is
that up,
a heavy choice.
because we did, like Maggie and I were playing through that game and we fucked it up.
Yeah.
And something terrible happened.
Yep.
And in that point in the game in the story, you don't have access to your powers, and I'm like, well, we got to live with that now. I don't know.
Really cool.
Like,
I don't know how
That's
this
so
plays
cool.
out.
yeah, and it was really cool. It really does impact the story
Yeah.
going forward.
So she has become super into those types of games where it's
I
like
would love to
impactful
see
decision making, and there's not a lot of, which is kind of cool because for me, games are always the kind of the experience and like the mark they leave on you is like kind of how I judge it, especially a single player game because obviously
Yeah.
League or something is a different feel. But those single player kind of immersive experiences, I never would look to a Telltale game ever in my life if it wasn't for Lori because they just don't challenge me the same way.
Well-
But I find like these deep elements to these games. I'm like, oh, okay, these are here. And, like this kind of interactive
yeah.
storytelling
Two-
can make the same mark as
Two
a
that
Final
I'll bring
Fantasy.
up that aren't just like bashing you over the head with a story and are much more kind of like thematic and meta in nature are Journey and Flower.
Oh,
Which
interesting.
you've played Journey, right?
Journey, yeah, that's the Santa Monica Studios one, or
no,
It's that game company.
Yeah.
Santa Monica
Which-
helped them, I
yeah.
think. And they were kind of incubated by Sony. But those two are just experiences, and they don't really require much dexterity. You jump a little, you fly around and stuff.
I would say Flower does.
Flower-
Actually,
Flower's
Flower's
just
Flower's
kinda-
where you're floating, right?
yeah, it's motion
Yeah.
control. So it's actually very natural. You're just kind of you get it. I think you don't really have to like play games to be able to play those. And you come away with such an awesome just like, emotional experience from those games.
Yeah.
Firewatch, like she played Firewatch too.
I thought
Yeah,
Firewatch
and
was
it the
just
same
bad.
thing.
I
If she
thought
can
that
play
game
dual
was-
sticks, then she
Yeah.
can play.
Yeah, she
Flower,
can get through
for
the
sure.
dual sticks for sure.
But yeah, those are a couple examples. I mean, I think for the most part, you don't have a lot of really what I would say AAA or like super polished. No, I mean, polished isn't even the right word. I guess just like high production value story games these days. I mean, Telltale's doing it, and then most of the stuff you're going to get is going to be coming from the indie scene.
Yeah,
I think.
And
Well,
Detroit 2 Human looks like it will
Yeah.
be that game.
Oh, it
And looks
definitely
super
will.
time.
Cool.
I can't. Well, everything Quantic Dream does is great.
Yeah.
Wait, did you guys play Heavy Rain?
No, and
stuff?
Are those available for PS4?
Yep.
Yes.
So they are. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
they're actually on sale a lot, and I think you can get them both. Beyond Two Souls, people gave that game shit, but I think it's awesome.
Well, I
that
think
game
you-
is really cool. It does require like. There's moments where you need to have like dexterity though. That's the problem with
But
the
on-
Quantic
nothing
Dream.
I
more
think
than
there's
Until
nothing more
Dawn.
than an Until Dawn or
Yeah.
a Telltale games of like do this in this time kind of deal.
Smash a
Like,
button.
Yeah,
Hit another button.
Yeah, a little bit.
which
Like
is
you
fine.
know, some characters will die maybe.
Yes,
Like,
yeah.
But that's part of the
that's-
experience,
that's it.
Yeah,
which
that's
is also
just kind
really
of your
cool and
experience.
unique.
It's what happens in your telling of that story.
That really hits the choose your own adventure part of games, which doesn't really occur in huge AAA games. You
Yeah.
usually don't suffer consequences that someone else plays the game.
Unless
or
it's like
sees.
most
written
of the-
in the stars, so to
most
speak.
of the time that's
Yeah.
because like you don't want to sink a lot of money into something that people aren't going to see, right? Like that's
Yeah.
that's where it comes down to.
Yeah,
Like, you
that's
got to be
fair.
efficient with
That's
your
an
But
interesting
Quantic Dream,
approach.
they're trying to break the mold with that, and it's cool that they're doing it. And I think a lot of other indie studios are going after that.
Yeah.
So we're kind of in this like golden age right now of walking simulators or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see where that goes.
I wouldn't say we're in the golden age yet. I think we're getting
I think
there, 'cause
Detroit
I
2
think-
Human, if that busts doors and like really makes some money, I think that it could like
Maybe
be
not.
a
Maybe not the
show.
golden age, but
I think we're in the beginning.
It's ramping up.
It's-
A lot of
yeah.
indie. There's a lot of resources going into
Because
it.
the problem is, like, I think that while they're cool games, they're just not all there. Like Gone Home is another problem where it's just like it's a decent enough looking game, and like there's not really any gameplay there, and like the sound design just really weak. Like there's certain elements of certain games like where they just don't. They're not that great. You know, like even Firewatch. Firewatch has problems where it's like that game, like the parts of it are interesting looking and it kind of looks good, but then it's like the main character looks like he's fucking
The giant
Wreck-It Ralph.
ham fists.
And it's like
Yeah.
there's parts of these games that just aren't all quite there yet, and I think they're gonna get there. And I think that like now like the Gone Home developers and the Firewatch developers, like that was their first thing.
Yeah. Yep.
Their next things are gonna be way better.
Sure,
Like,
and more
already,
yeah,
polished.
for a new
like,
team to pull that off.
Yeah.
already you have like what's the Gone Home guy working on? He's working on that space game. It's like it's like you're in a space station and you're like
And you
rewatching.
look
the
at all the
scenes
video
of-
feeds and
oh,
stuff.
Yes,
what's
you have
happening.
to like security cameras
yeah.
and like different. Yes,
I can't remember what that's
called.
called off the top of my head, but like that already looks like it's a huge step up.
Yep.
And like, you know, hopefully the same thing happens for the Firewatch guys. So
Yeah.
I think it's going to get better. I think we're getting into the golden age, hopefully, of those kinds of games where people have a story they want to tell, and the game is a really interesting way to tell the story.
Yeah. Well, and with VR coming onto the scene again, like now's a good time for that.
Yeah.
We'll see if VR picks up steam. Maybe it won't, but I think that's just kind of a natural fit.
Yeah. Well, I think that's about it this week. I mean, it was only, 2 hours of
And of scorching content
in
and
the sauna.
atmosphere.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Just a bunch of hot dudes hanging out, you know, talking
We're all
into
shirtless at this point. Sorry, everyone.
talking into robots over here. Yeah, no, we're not shirtless yet, but we are thinking about doing a shirtless edition of the podcast. So write in and let us know
Let
if
us
you
know.
think we
Oh,
should
God,
do
help us out,
a
everyone.
shirtless
You won't
edition.
know which episode it is. You'll have to guess based on the sound.
Yeah, so thanks for coming and hanging out and listening to us talk for a while, guys. It's been really fun. If you guys have any questions or feedback or notes or anything, you can write into us at gamestuffpodcast@gmail.com. Also, something that really helps is leaving a review on iTunes, you know? So if you could just, leave a review on
He's
iTunes.
pointing at me.
I'm
Please,
pointing at
Musto.
anyone in
Yeah.
the room, just like leave a review on iTunes.
I'll do that.
And,
We're not on iTunes
5-star us,
Okay.
you know?
All right, great.
I think this was a 5-star episode. What do you think?
Oh man,
long enough to
I'd
be.
Give it,
Yeah, sure.
I'd give it 4 tacos out of 7 hot dogs.
All right, I'll
pretty
take
good,
it.
right?
That's about 5 stars.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So, anyways, you stuff heads all have a good week.
Stuffheads.
All right. What's up next time, Brad?
Oh, what's up next time? Are we doing that right now?
Yeah, we are.
Oh gosh,
Oh my God, we're all out of kitty litter.
I can't believe they just said that thing at E3. Can you believe it?
Norman's been knocking down my door and he's got a gun.
They're looking at me, but I don't know what to say.
Next time on Game Stuff.
It's me.